through like connecting the phone through like your TV, like Chromecasting is what they call it. Only that way, but no app or anything like that.
Your phone
Instagram's just an app.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a social media app.
Yeah. So that's why you don't know the history, but I started at Instagram with just like going live there.
Oh yeah.
And then
that's what that phone is right now.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. We're live on
story.
Exactly. It's a live feed. Are you on Instagram, boss?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, I'm gonna have to get your Instagram then.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I just started not too long ago because you're the one that hooked me up with that.
Okay.
I didn't have Instagram. I didn't really understand it.
It's a whole thing, dude.
People use it for different stuff. Like I use it just to share pictures of work and stuff.
Exactly.
People use it for all their family stuff. Some people use it for.
It's okay. I'll give you an example. Like I am the stupid example of I use it for multiple things. I have 3 accounts. That sounds really stupid, right?
Really? 3?
And the reason is because I use it for different stuff. So like I have one that's very private. It's just for friends and family. And I only let certain people kind of into that world.
Okay.
And then I have one where it's this and I'm broadcasting and I'm talking motorcycle stuff. And so I only want, those fans, those followers, I only will let into that, or I not only let into that world, but that's for that. And then like I have a motorcycle, the one that's outside, and I want to, show my trips and I want to show the stuff that I do to my bike and cool pictures of my bike. And so I have one that's because my friends and family don't want to see my bike. They don't really care too much, and then the people that follow this are more interested in hearing about, talking to Anthony and the people that I have on here than just seeing my stupid bike, So like what he's saying, it's just kind of, you use it for so many different stupid things, so
See,
I know
that's that right now.
Or are you watching it on there right now?
Oh, you're watching it right now?
Yeah.
So see, I'm looking at my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, this has already gone by though.
Yeah, there's a delay for sure.
So now I'm showing it to you now.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even see me.
So we're live, watching us be live on live. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a whole nother thing. But if you just use it for like your personal stuff, it's really good to use it like that. When you start dipping into probably what like your son's using it for, or what I'm using it for, then it's a whole nother ball game. Just enjoy it. That's all you gotta
I used
do.
to always mess up on Facebook because I was always sharing stuff.
He would see like the main feed, and think people were sending him shit. And he's like, why are all these people sending me all this random shit? I'm like, no, that's like everybody's post that you're seeing.
Yeah.
So then he would share other people's shit to his thing. I'm like, what are you doing?
I didn't know
That's funny.
Doing. So now I don't share nothing.
I get it. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Shit, I'd be a little apprehensive.
Like
myself.
someone else's like family at Disneyland, he shares it. I'm like, who the fuck are these people?
That's fucking awesome. That's fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah. I didn't understand.
Well, welcome to the social media world.
And I'm not even, don't even go near Twitter or whatever that other thing is.
I myself am not. That's too. I feel like I'll get myself in more trouble probably being there than somewhere else.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm not a tweeter guy or anything of that sort. This is my sanctuary. This is my kind of get down. This is my lifestyle.
Cool.
Yeah. This is where I was kind of, not in this garage specifically, but I mean just in this environment. Like
how long have you been doing this?
This podcasting or like this, or just in like this, like. Oh man, like diapers, I guess you could say. I've been around cars and motorcycles and stuff.
Okay, so like Anthony.
Yeah, that's why like him and I probably just like we just vibe, we're on the same level of shit. We just, my old man was body work, and that was his one. He did it as a hobby to begin with, just as a youngster. And then it became a career where it was, that's what was paying the bills and stuff. So it turned into owning a shop and all that type of stuff. And so I was working with him. And so naturally I was around it, and so for me, it's just been something.
Mine was just a hobby.
Well, yeah.
It just started off as, it was all self-taught type of stuff. I mean, Anthony knows 100 times more than I do.
Well, you dived in, Anthony, then hard, then, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you went like
really young age.
Yeah, I probably would say this. It sounds like the same. I probably went past my dad's level of stuff because of me diving into it just as much. Sounds like as you kind of have,
Yeah, you know, as a kid, I mean, from day one, literally from day one, I have just been into cars or anything with a motor, like just in general. I mean, one of my first words was what?
Dad?
Was it
No, like, it was like literally, it was like Corvette.
Corvette?
Oh, really? No shit.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Corvette. I had
Wow.
I had a few Corvettes in the
Yeah.
past.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn, Dad, you got a nice. Sounds like you've had a nice little history of some cars. We're gonna dive into some of this shit.
But yeah, I mean,
Out the jump, that Corvette.
yeah, that was like literally one of my first words. And then, you know, he would always, you know, my uncles and stuff would come over, and he was the one that everyone brought their shit to work on.
Okay.
Because no one else knew how to do it. So I just remember as a kid, like I would want to go out there in the garage, you know, and he wouldn't want me out there and shit. So he always tell my mom to get him back in the house. I don't want him out here. And then finally, as I grew up, I made my way out there.
You got to weasel your way in there.
And
I think it started with the Hot Wheel cars.
yeah,
Because I would always be buying them Hot Wheel cars.
That's such like, it's funny you say that, because I got two small kids inside now. I got 3 kids, 15-year-old, and then a 2-year-old and a 11-month-old. And I just, I know, started over here. I know. I was just thinking, like, last week, I'm like, God, I need to go buy him some Hot Wheels. And because I have them in the garage and stuff, but I'm taking Dad's advice. It sounds like it worked well.
I wish we would have had all the Hot Wheel cars that I bought him.
yeah, I took them all apart.
You should have known it was that's where it was starting, right? That's where it was starting.
I mean, that's what literally, like, everything I got, I took apart. Everything. I took it apart and then I would put it back together.
That's my mind thinks that way too. I like to de-engineer basically something and see, okay, how did it work? And then obviously the goal is to be able to put it back together.
Well, that's what I would tell
and maybe
him,
better.
You know, how you're going to take it apart, you're going to just flip it, reverse it.
Yeah.
Is how you're going to put it back together.
Yeah.
So just remember that. Remember where all those little pieces go and all those nuts and bolts.
It got to the point where it started with toys, and then it started with my skateboards. You know, I would literally like take my skateboard completely apart, the trucks apart, you know, the freaking bearings out of the wheels. I'd clean everything and then I put it back together. And then it went to BMX bikes. Like I used to race BMX. I would literally take my whole bike apart, re-grease all the bearings and clean everything and put the whole bike back together. I used to have a GT Speed Series box series, the all aluminum one. And I just, it went from that. And then even around that time, I had gotten into mini bikes, like Bridge and Stratton mini bikes. And me and a dude I grew up with, we used to tear the motors apart and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. Like his dad had like a full blown machine shop in their garage. So we used to take his dad's belt sander and take the heads and just sand them down. And dude, we were like 12 years old. Literally, I bought a book, or how I acquired a book somehow on how to put the motors back together because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I took all the motors apart. The only thing that I didn't do was I never knew how the valves came out of those motors.
Okay.
But I was able to pull the crank out, the cam out, time everything, put it back together, the piston rods, all that stuff. And, like I said, we would shave the heads down. We used to remember split fire spark plugs.
Yes.
We think, we put those in the little motors. And then my buddy Mike, he used to be in RC cars. So he had like gas powered cars. So he had that nitro gas for the cars. So we'd go and put 92 or 93 octane back then.
Yeah.
And we would put RC car gas in the gasoline, thinking that it's going to boost us more, and we used to go all around with those things to the point where, he got to the point where he used to have to freaking lock the thing up. And, we had the cops freaking telling us that if we get caught again, they're going to take them from us.
Yeah.
It sounds about right. Like everybody that I talk to that I usually become friends with, because you become friends with like-minded individuals, you gravitate towards them. The common theme amongst all of us seems to be exactly that. Very young age, little mini bikes, BMXing, that is just kind of the paved road to kind of this kind of mentality, this lifestyle, it's when you grow up in it, is when it'll really, like in your case, become, when you grow up in it and you do it regularly and I guess you have the obsessive kind of thing with it. It becomes a career, it becomes a job.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that'll throw you for a loop, and he'll vouch for it. So I never wanted to do this for a living.
No,
I never wanted to work.
I really didn't want him to do it. I really wanted him to have a clean job,
like an office job.
Well, no, job
dude, I wanted to be a veterinarian as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Animal guy then.
Yeah. I wanted to be a veterinarian. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I never pursued it, never even thought about it. And I just took with what I was interested in. It just took off over the years. I mean, we're talking, I started professionally working in shops when I was 17 years old in a hot rod shop. And from then on, that's all I did was cars for 20 something years. And then I just got tired of doing cars. It was when we moved into that house, I was doing cars there on my own. And I just got tired of the fucking people just being cheap as fuck. And this is before it's like blown up to what it is now. Like the hot rod industry now is not what it was then. Like it took people that had some money to be able to build a car. It didn't cost as much to build a car.
Yeah.
Project cars weren't anywhere near what they are now.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even build a car myself these days because it's so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
To even find a project car that's even worth buying.
You're right. I remember back because for a period of time, family had a shop. We had a body shop. Mm-hmm. And majority of our shit was insurance work. And that's what really kept, the bills and the lights on, but they were cheap as fuck. They didn't want to pay shit. They wanted it like this. They wanted it fast, but we would get the I would like to work on the long-term projects, the full paints, the Novas, the Mustangs. I'd like to work on that shit. So that's what I would kind of take on. But I would recognize back then that even then the fucking prices of shit started to go up and up, but it was reasonable back then. Yeah. And now you're right. I look at some of this shit, but I mean, it's because of guys you look at Can Dig It design and fucking look at these levels of fucking design, builds and shit.
What fucked everything up with the car industry, and it's done it. I don't think it's really affected the bike thing very much, but the car thing is all the dumb shows. There's all the shows that they came out with where in the beginning shows where everybody got the wrong vibe thinking, well, it only takes 7 days to build a whole fucking car. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
No. It takes more than 7 days to figure out what the fuck you're going to do with the car.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely fantasize the car experience,
Like, all these people that wanted to build cars went to shops and said, well, why can't you do it in 7 days? They did.
Yeah.
Well, dude, no, they didn't.
Yeah.
They have a fucking crew of people that have everything at their disposal. And everyone that I ever talked to that had a car done by those shows said it was a fucking nightmare.
I'm sure it was. I actually like overhauling, right?
Yeah.
I think that was like one of the shows.
Yeah, they had
it was
like problems
7 days. A buddy of mine, his name's Martin, and gosh, Gold Coast Upholstery. It's here in Ventura. Mm-hmm. And he was actually an upholster on one of those episodes. I don't even remember what it was. And he said it was a convertible of all fucking things. Mm-hmm. And he was like, dude, that was a fucking nightmare. It was a pain in the ass. Yep. It paid nothing. It wasn't worth it. I got no exposure out of it. I got shit out of it. Mm-hmm. He's like, it was just, they got everything out of it. They got the audience, they got the viewership, the ratings, the money, the advertising, all that other shit. Mm-hmm. And the guys that actually built the thing got nothing, except for the dudes at the top, Foose and all these other dudes, man. But you're right. They definitely fantasize that shit. I think, on the motorcycle level, I grew up, you're around the same age that I was, that I am, and 2000s. That was kind of like the Orange County Choppers and that type of shit. That was also, that was the fantasy.
Indian Larry.
Yeah. Indian Larry was a bad motherfucker. That was, that was a real, culture rooted fucking living old school type of dude. And went out doing what he loved to fucking do. Sucks that it happened, but went out doing what the fuck he loved to do, but the same thing for the motorcycle stuff. What you're saying for the car stuff is done. I see it. You're absolutely right. They fantasize the stuff and they made you think, oh, I can just easily, it's not that hard to build this bike. Couple bolts, couple this, put it together. Until people start diving into it, it's a whole nother ball game and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. That industry, the hot rod industry, has changed dramatically. I mean, so has the bike industry.
Well, you got to a point where you didn't want to be underneath cars anymore.
I got burnt out, dude. I did this for so long. Like my first car was a 67 Chevelle, and I started on that car when I was 15 and a half. And, that's kind of what did it for me. and you know, I was already kind of doing some stuff. Like some neighbors had some cars. I was helping them out when I was like from the age 12 to 15 and a half. So I was doing little things with them and little stuff on, he had a Corvette, you know, and
What year Corvettes did you have?
it was a shitty year.
Yeah, 75, 76.
Yeah. It was a 76 when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
not the greatest of years.
But he had some better ones. He had a 98 C5 convertible. Then he had
nice.
that was a nice car.
Then he got the new C7. It was a 2014, but that was after his accident and stuff. There was some stuff going on, so he had to end up parting with that one.
But yeah, but you remember you came out and you tore into that whole front.
Oh, it had like
bumper.
Had like 500 miles on it, the C7. And he's like, "Hey, I bought this Z06 grill."
Oh my god!
Because the non Z06s, because his was a Z51 convertible, but it still had like this, like it looked like braces in the grill, like braces on your teeth.
Oh my goodness!
So he bought the Z06 grill that had a little more aggressive look, but it literally you had to take the whole front bumper fascia off
just to get to
the grill. So
just to get to that grill,
I'm under there. I'm taking all the hardware out, and I'm popped a couple clips and stuff, and it's almost out, and I can't pop the ones around the headlight. And he's like, let's stop. I'm like, dude, we're already here.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're good. The car has 500 miles on it.
I almost gave up. Yeah.
Did you got him off?
Oh, I was able to pop it loose.
Because he had to drive from here to Vegas.
Yeah.
To help me. And then it was like 110 some degrees outside.
Yeah, I don't think you're sending him home without the job being complete at that point, man. We're getting this shit done at that point.
We have all this blankets on the floor.
I'd be a little stressed out though too. I get it, brand new, 500 damn miles on the thing, like taking off the whole bumper.
$80,000 Corvette.
Yeah, and they're even more now, aren't they? What are they brand new?
And that was a lot for that car. He got that car discounted back then.
Yeah, I got it from.
Do you still have it? No. So did sell it? I heard
we traded it into to Paradise out here for his. He has a Yukon now.
Okay. See, I was going to Ohio because I was going to visit my family. Was that I was going to Ohio to visit.
Well, no, you had already gone to Ohio and everything had already happened. And when you were going through everything, I had the Corvette at the house.
He had the Corvette. But I was planning to move to Ohio. Mm-hmm. Oh, a Corvette was going to go plow through that snow.
That's not the best. Yeah.
So he arranged it while I was still in the hospital.
Yeah.
After the accident, I had a real bad accident.
Damn.
And was able to trade it off for the Yukon.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is did it retain value? Did it hold value or anything?
No, I mean, it lost value, but you're trading it in.
Well, because my uncle by marriage, I guess he married my aunt. But anyways, he bought one of the new ones, a Stingray.
Yeah.
That blue one, fucking nice car, man.
Yeah,
you know?
The mid-engine one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. And I want to say that he did order it, or I don't know. He got it like straight from the factory or some bullshit. Mm-hmm. But he was able to turn around and sell it in like 2-3 months to like CarMax for like 110.
Oh, he made money.
Well, yeah, he made money on it.
But for a bit there, I think earlier this year, I think was the high peak of used cars and stuff. So people were paying a lot for cars.
I talked to a used car that on Friday. We had a little thing over here, and one of the guys that was there used cars, and he was saying that it's on the back end of it.
It's died down now. Yeah, they're not.
I'm so glad I waited, dude. I had like my wife and I were with the kids. We were looking at minivans, practicality, and we almost did it. We actually committed. We're like, okay, we'll take it. We had to wait for the fucking car to come like in, and we were like, we signed paperwork, and they're like, you just got to come and take it when it gets here, and and we're like, by the time it came in, it was like 3 months later, and we're like, I was like, my wife was still wanted that damn thing, but I was like, you know what? I don't think this is the best play for us right now. I got over the buyers like
you slept on it.
I slept on it for a good amount of time. Yeah. So
he was able to give you like 3 days.
Yeah. So I'm glad, man. I'm glad it all worked out that way. You know, it definitely is. That shit was peaking, boy. It was getting fucking crazy.
Yeah, we were kind of going back and forth on what they were offering for the car.
Yeah.
And I had already made up my mind that I was going to move to Ohio.
Yeah, you need something to work.
Family lives there. And I needed something to go through the snow.
And at that time, the car really was never. The car was already, it was, I forgot how many, it was a couple years old already, and it only had like 2,000 miles on it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I never
yeah.
drove it.
Never drove it at
Yeah.
all.
So it
Like,
wasn't
in Vegas.
that was 2,000 miles of pulling it out of the garage and putting it back in the garage.
Putting it back in the
Jeez,
garage.
that's a lot of back and forth, man. Every day pulling it out. Look at my Corvette. All right, let me put it back in.
Well, because you know, it's just how he's always been, and you know, a lot of that's, you know, it's OCD that's rubbed off on me, that you get something that's new and nice, and it's like, you know, the first time you take it out and fucking rock chips it, it's like, it's just like devastating in our minds.
Yeah,
you know, some people, oh, whatever, you know, but to us it's like the end of the world.
That's one thing we're very
OCD.
Yeah. I've been over the first podcast we did, Dad, was over at your place.
Yeah.
And so I've been to a couple of times just to do that, and then came to visit, went and picked up this tent. And so I've seen the meticulousness and everything of the work area. I recognize it, you know. I got clutter in here because I don't have space. That's why I wanted to get that canopy from you. I was going to move all these shelves and this shit out and underneath that, and then just really make this like cabinets on the wall, you know, like you have the storage cabinets for all of my my fluids and shit. But you have it. I've noticed that the OCD or the meticulousness of you got,
and that's how it was with the shop too.
So I can imagine then now with that being said, that whole Corvette scenario with the bumper and you guys being the way that you are, I can only imagine what that was felt like.
Yeah.
We were using the blue tape.
Oh, I don't blame you though. I don't blame you, but that's the right way to do it also. You know, if you're going to do that, there's a right way, a wrong way, a perfect way. There's different ways. You know, if you're going to be away, I guess be that way, you know, about your work.
And you have to, I mean, you got some of these customers that, you know, they've spent a lot of money on these motorcycles.
Yep.
And you got to be very careful, you know, dropping a wrench.
Yep.
Just going sideways with a screwdriver or something. I mean, I freaked out. I was backing out. I had a Road Glide. Was it their gray Road Glide that I bought from Vic?
Mm-hmm.
And
Bumped something?
And I bumped the lift, and I scratched the front fender. I had a heart attack. I was like, I'm gonna get rid of the bike. we ended up taking it to See Me Harley, and they sold it for me.
No shit.
But I wish I'd have kept it. That was a nice bike.
Well, it seems like it's in the family. You guys so it sounds like you were like that. You kind of grew up looking at that and watching that then. So it makes sense, you know. And now it even makes a little bit more sense. Like, get him out of the garage because everything's all clean and shit in here. And
it was between that and then, you know, growing up in the hot rod world. I mean, I worked for, at the time, it was one of the, you know, pretty known shop.
Where were you working?
It was this guy. His name's Fred Montesanto. He owned a shop called the Hot Rod Shop, not the Rod Shop. I worked for the Rod Shop too. But
I know both of them. I'm familiar with both of them. Yeah, I know of the shops. Yes.
So, I mean, being around the cars that I was around back then, I mean, we were talking about, you know, very high dollar cars back then.
Very high.
And we did everything in house. We did, you know, paint, body work, all the metal fabrication. I mean, everything, interior, everything was done in house by just him and I.
What was your main focus? Metal work? Or
I did everything except for I can do body and paint work. I don't have a whole bunch of experience. I've done things. I don't call myself a body and paint guy at all. And same thing with interior stuff.
Fabrication.
But fabrication, you know, I did a lot of rust repair. So panel replacements and stuff, rockers, quarter panels, floors, pretty much the entire car, shaving stuff, wiring, air conditioning installs, a lot of suspension stuff, air suspension, you know, final assembly work, a lot of fit and finish shit. So like before a car would even get body and painted, then, you know, let's say, you know, the way we did things is, you know, like you should do with any build like that, is that we would basically mock the whole car up. You know, you want to be a zillion steps ahead, because you don't want to have to be drilling or cutting or doing anything like that after it's painted. Yeah. So any kind of hole or modification that you need to do it prior, plan ahead. So like, let's just say like a taillight bezel didn't fit right on the back of a car, you know, like the gaps we were really very meticulous on how gaps were, door gaps, how everything fit. It was like, had to be perfect.
Yeah.
So if you had to cut, splice, weld, do whatever you have to do, we had to do it and fit, you know, a piece of trim or a grill or a taillight bezel or whatever it needs to be. It needs to fit perfect in metal. And then after it's done,
Yeah.
you know, same thing with alignment, like on doors and hoods and stuff. You know, we got to the point where, okay, hey, the gaps are right with the fender to the door to the fender, and then the door to the quarter panel, and then make sure that the gap, you know, to the rocker is good and everything. Make sure all your gaps are bitching. And then what we would do is we would drill a little 1/8 inch hole through the actual door hinge into the bottom of the A pillar, and then at the other bottom of the hinge. So we would take like a 1/8 inch drill bit and we would just line them in.
Oh,
so when we put the parts back on, you just line your little holes up. And then if you had to shim stuff, you would just remember where those shims went, label a bag. And then same thing, if you were able to drill a hole, whether it be on the front of the car, like on like an A body, like a Chevelle or something like that, you have a bolt on the firewall, a bolt up here, a bolt in the door jamb, and you have either 1 to 2 on the bottom of the fender on those cars. So, you know, wherever you can put a place to reference where your adjustment is, it's just more efficient when you're putting the car back together.
Yeah.
You know,
I want to make a point to what you're saying is you'll relate to this. I know you get what you pay for, right? And I think that's something that a lot of people overlook a lot of times, you know, and hearing the detail and the level of work and the techniques and the style and the fit and finish and everything that goes into a caliper of a shop like that, that's important. That's your mark. That's their product going out the door.
Yeah.
And so some people don't always relate that stuff. You give them a price and they're like, what? I don't understand. Well, my work is different than that work. You're going to probably get the same job done, or you're going to get the same vision accomplished, but you're not going to have the same quality and craftsmanship and longevity of what I do.
I always say it's the attention to details. The details is what counts. And Anthony's really taken that to heart.
There's things, dude. I have to tell myself to stop sometimes because like just the other day, my buddy Cody's bike, I put those lights, those fillers lights in the back.
I saw that.
So I ran all the wiring and I had to wire up the license plate light, and I made like a little plug and play connector. So anything that can be like plug and play, like factory, I hate, like, I'm not into like butt splicing things with red and blue butt splices or weird shit like that. Like I have like regular little like 2, 3 pin, 4 pin connectors, just like regular white male and female ones, or I have like the new 14 and later like CAN bus stuff.
Okay.
I have all the ones from that company, NOMS or Names or whatever the hell it's called.
Yep.
So I can make my own little things, you know, and I have all the different colors of wire too. So I'll make up my own shit because I like things to be plug and play and look nice, you know, and be, I think like, okay, if the next person has to work on this, like I don't want them to have to go and cut my shit apart. Like they can literally unplug it, unplug the taillight harness and take the fender off the bike. They don't have to cut shit apart. You know what I mean? When I tore into the FXR because it had been done fucking years ago, I had to literally cut the whole wiring harness in half to take everything from the bike, you know? So when I put it back together, I bought the Deutsch connectors, the male and female, and I repinned everything. So now the main harness coming out of the bike will now plug into the harness that goes up to the handlebars.
Yeah, the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
And it makes life a lot easier. So, yeah, you know, and it really doesn't take that long. As long as you have the crimper and you know what the fuck you're doing, like it's really not that hard. But I know wiring scares the shit out of a lot of people.
It does. My advice for wiring is before you take anything apart, you know, Dad, you
don't take it apart.
Yeah, before you take anything apart, don't take it apart. Before you cut it, don't cut it is a rule to wiring.
Label it.
Okay, so see, I was just about to say,
back then when I was doing it, we didn't have a camera phone.
Bingo. Exactly. I was just about to ask or just kind of say that is I find myself still doing that. I have the safety, and then I also have the extra safety net for me because I was taught what Dad just said, label your shit.
I do the same shit.
And then I still take a picture of it. I'm like, okay, old school Never failed for all those years that it worked, right?
It worked.
But I still got modern to have a backup for it.
Yeah.
So it's doing those type of things that are going to save your ass later down the road.
And I mean, they also, you know, I don't have all of them, but I have a couple assembly manuals or, you know, service manuals for bikes that, you know, not older shit, but, you know, if I need to go and reference something. There should really be, unless some dipshit went in there that didn't know what they were doing on like a bike like yours or a newer bike, like then, you know, it's understandable. You know, you go back into they have all the schematics, you can trace out what's what and what went where, but you know, hopefully you don't have to run into that, but it does happen.
It's more, when you break it down, I guess when you get, I would definitely say that your skill level is higher than mine, but when you get to a certain level, it does become like wow, that's pretty simple. You know, once you understand, you're like, it's not a lot to it, but like, I understand, like when you look at it, you're like, fuck, that's so much. Look at all the wires that are in this bitch. But then when you look at
I feel now, Anthony knows so much.
Literally for years, I had this one problem. So when I worked for my old boss, Fred, at the hot rod shop, right? He is like a freaking wizard when it comes to electrical anything. Like the dude's a talented dude. And so I'd always ask him like pointers on how to do something. Like he just knows his shit in his head. I don't even know how he did it. So, you know, we were really big into air suspension. So wiring up compressors and, you know, valves and all that shit. Like, you know, with compressors, we would run, you know, a 30 amp relay or whatever we were doing. You know, relays are an awesome little part that you can do a lot with. You can run a relay off of grounds. You can do it electric or, you know, with hot power. Like it's just, they can work in a lot of different ways if you can think it up.
Yep.
So
basically a switch. It's a fucking
electric switch.
It's electric. It's an on-off switch when you
So like when, you know, I would be doing my own air suspension shit. I always have to ask Fred, hey Fred, how do you wire the relay again? And I did this for years, because I could not understand it in my head. Now it's like second nature to me. Like I look at it and I'm like, I don't know how I needed to ask this all the time. Like it's fucking simple.
I don't do it enough, but when I do wire up a relay, I do have to do exactly what you said. I got to refer to it. I got to think. I got to maybe pull up a real quick Google image. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucking right. That's
literally exactly if you're looking at the relay, like a 4-pole relay. Don't worry about 5. So 4-pole, you got 87 and 30. Those are your in and out. Okay, so that's your main battery leads going in and out. Then you have 86 and 85. Either of those can be used the same anyway. You can ground 86 or you can ground 85. One of them needs to be grounded if you're going to do it like for a pressure switch or for a relay or whatever you're doing it for. And then you can do the other one needs to be key hot. So you're going to do it to a key hot source.
Yep.
You know, back in the day when people were starting to do like mini trucks and stuff, there was I don't know why they did this, but so many people were running their relays on constant power. So I think they were jumping the 85 or 86 over to the main battery power. So when you had a leak in your system, your compressor turns on because it was tied into the pressure switch, and then you'd have your compressors running through the night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I never understood that.
I'm trying to think if I did do that because I might have.
So the battery was dying.
Yeah, people have issues with the battery dying
because
none of those systems, because most everyone back in the heyday was running 1/2-inch line or bigger or running CO2 bottles.
What do they run now?
I mean, everybody now is fucking normal. Like they're running like 1/4-inch line. Like you can't go wrong with 1/4 or even 3/8 line now. But you run DOT fittings or compression fittings, and you're pretty much going to have a pretty sealed system.
I think what the fuck was I running? Yeah, they used to have 5/8 line. You're right. That was fucking giant.
Oh, dude, like there was a place. Right. There's a place in Mesa, Arizona. It's still there to this day. It was called Ames, I think, back in the day. And they had like all kinds of different shit. I mean, it's cheap junk, but they had like big ass freaking line. I mean, 1/2-inch was pretty common, and you were running 8 valves, you know, so people were, you know, running a lot of tanks and a lot of compressors, or they were running CO2.
Yeah. My buddy ran CO2 on a full size Avalanche. Remember the Avalanche, the Chevy Avalanche?
He had the fucker hop.
Dude, he had it on 24s. And I remember there was a lowrider show in Santa Barbara. I think they still do it every year, maybe with the whole COVID bullshit. But it was one year he fucking took that thing in the hopping arena, and I think they had it was for airbags or something. They had a different division, and it was in the heyday, like the prime when airbags were fucking all that shit. And he had that shit on compressed air, and he hit it. I think he hit it like once or twice, but boom, bam, and he hopped that bitch up there. But it was an Avalanche on 24s, and it just hit bumper pretty quick, and then he fucking slammed back down. I'm like, holy crap, dude!
I didn't even know they used that back then.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, people had the normal system, and then they could bypass it. So if you want it to be fast, because the problem is you'd always have to wait for the compressor to fill up.
Yeah.
And back in the original heyday, it was the little Thomas compressors, little Firestones are like 35% duty cycle.
Yes,
So they couldn't
so
keep up.
slow.
Yeah, so people had like fucking 4 or 5 of these things trying to fill up at one
and
time.
like 8 tanks or
So
something.
then,
Yeah.
And then they came out with, you know, Viair, they have Air Zenith, they had these big things called Oasis compressors.
I remember them. Weren't they belt driven? They also
No, these were big, and then they had the engine driven.
They had the engine driven ones also. Yeah,
to
they
keep up with it.
Yeah, they went full. They just you couldn't keep up with the demand of air because it's like hydraulics. You know, you want to hit that switch. You know, and hydraulics you just got to have juice. But the air, you had to sit there and wait.
A lot of cars that I did that too.
No, how did you do that? How did you do the airbags in the motorcycles? Because you've done quite a bit of those.
Well, I only did I did this one dude's street glide.
I had a road glide.
I'm big time against that.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a story. I had a Road King and I did air ride on it.
Yeah.
And actually, my dad's Fat Boy right there, it had air ride on it actually, and it still has the switches where they had the little for the up and down. And it was on there for so long, and it was like very early. He put it on there very early when he got it, so it was very cool and all that shit to come and lay it out. But I did do an air ride system on my Road King, and I had it Vtwin out. It was spoked wheel, 8 hangers and shit. It was a look, so I wanted to slam that bitch on the ground. And I built a little kit, man. I went and just bought a little compressor.
I probably use air shocks, huh?
I went and bought some Corvette air shocks, and I just all I had to do was fucking punch out the bushing a little bit so that it would fit the shocks right here, the shock mounts right here. Yeah. And then I just ran little like 1/8-inch line, tiny little fucking airline to it, and it was push to connect fittings. Boom, go to a little T. Little relay for it, and then I just hooked a little switch up right underneath the seat, and then no tank or anything like that.
So it's just on the fly.
So it was just on the fly. So it was like go up, it was and it would go up really slow, but man,
it did the trick.
It did the trick when I got to the parking lot and I wanted to fucking drop that ass. So aired that bitch out, and everyone looked over at me, and I'm like, yeah, that's a bad bitch. And then I rode home riding like shit. That's the way it went, actually. And I blew a fucking airline on one of those things one time, dude. We were coming back. Luckily, it was right here, and my wife was actually with me.
Oh shit!
And I was rolling. We hit a fucking light, and we came to the stop at a light. And I'm like, and then like I saw like smoke coming around like the front of my light in my headlight because it was at night. And I'm like, I smell rubber. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I looked down, and when I put my feet down, I'm like, what the fuck? Why are we so low? And then I look back, and I'm like, oh shit. And so when I started taking off from the light, it was all it was dragging because the fucking wheel was up there fucking touching that shit. So yeah, I had to pull over. I had a little safety thing in there. I had a little fucking little extra valve where I just would manually bypass the shit, and I just pumped it, little air, and I only had to go down a couple miles back to get it home. But but it's like you said earlier, right? When you're doing the car shit, the gapping, all the other things you have to prepare and think of for later on, it was shit like that I have to think of. Like I'm a realist and know that air ride is cool, but I also know that it's gonna fail me at some fucking point. I don't care when, it's gonna fail me at some point.
Well, Anthony has a good habit of. I'm trying to remember where you will actually talk a customer out of something. Because
it's not the right thing.
This is not going to work for you. I've done this so many times, and I've learned from all this stuff. This is just not going to work. And I want to think about the handlebars.
Those fucking piece of shit factory 47 things.
Yeah, they put sorry, Rolo. My buddy Rolo has them on his bike, and thank you for letting me ride your bike. By the way, he let me take it on a nice long trip. That was like 7 states. It was a long trip, but I also had to sit there and ride with those in that bar position. It was not comfortable, man. They look the part, I guess, but boy, that hand position was. Well, it's not good for me.
So it's not even this. And if I don't know if Cody that used to work for me is listening or anything right now. I know he's on.
He will listen. He will later.
He's on a different time than us now,
he will later.
But he knows now because he had to just recently do a job, and it was with bars like that. Actually, I don't know if they did have points, he said, and it was a pre-CAN bus bike. So that means it has
that's me. It's like fucking 14 wires on one side and
freaking 16 or 18 gauge wire.
Yep, that's me.
And exactly. I mean, yours is an 08, so I think it was like a he was like an 11 or something like that. He was working on, or a 10.
Same
But
shit though.
he had to put 14-inch bars and extend everything and try to get it all through there with the fly-by-wire and all that. And dude, like if anyone's ever done that, like I told people, I had people come into the shop all the time and ask, hey, would you do these bars? And at first, you know, I was doing them. I've always hated doing them. Can it be done? Yes. I will never touch shit like that again. You can take those bars and shove them up your fucking ass. Literally, I don't want to have anything to do with that. Go to LA, go where else. I told people, I said, go to LA and have it done somewhere. Yeah. I won't touch them because the amount of time and frustration it takes to try to do that is it's not even worth the time. Like I like to get things done, get it done efficiently, get it done properly, and get the next bike coming in. You know what I mean? And that just sets you back. Like he was pissed. He called me. He's like, his wife was saying like, oh, call Anthony and see what he says. And he's like, he's going to tell me to not do it.
He knew.
He was pissed. He was fucking yelling and shit. He said he snapped at his kid, I guess, like his son. Like that's how frustrating it is. You've done it, right?
I have done it for a couple of friends' bikes, and it is frustrating. The ones with the tips, because you're going up and then you got to fight that bend, and you got all them wires in it. It's a frustrating, difficult, tedious, relentless fucking task. It is for sure. When I did my I have Lucky Dave bars over there. I put T-bars on my Road Glide back in like 2015, 2016. And it's what you said. It's fucking 14, 16 wires or some bullshit like that.
He had to do I think it was an ultra classic,
dude. I had to get creative with this shit, dude. I had to do, like you said, I had to extend the fucking wires. And well, how about we can go into, like, for me, you step in where you think you can add some tips, but let me give you some tips for that shit. If you guys ever think, there's a lot like what Anthony said that goes into that shit, but a tip that I can give you is if you got to extend those wires, don't cut them all in one spot, because then you're going to have a big fucking bulky fucking thing right in the middle. You got to kind of stagger them so you have a little bit of fucking room to wiggle them through. Otherwise, you got this big ball of whatever it is that you made.
On a set of 14s, you should be able to, depending on the bend of the bar and the pullback and all that shit, most of the time when you pull them through on a 14-inch bar like that, you have them come out the bottom.
Yep.
And a lot of these extension kits are basically male and female, and you're just putting them together. And then they have heat shrink that you put over it. I use the heat shrink that has glue in it. So when you heat it, it seals the ends and stuff. And it works great. It's a strong thing. You know, I know there's people out there that solder. I do not solder. I've never soldered in my fucking life. I think it's a giant waste of fucking time.
I solder.
So, no offense. I mean, again, it's everybody does things their own way.
Exactly.
I was, taught a long time ago where I use those little unshielded butt splice things.
Okay.
Those little metal things.
Yeah.
And I crimp those, and then I use that.
They're small enough to go through, and that's the reason that I solder, that I figured out for me to solder. And that's how I learned, was through fucking doing it on a bar job. And once you get like one technique, it's like, oh, it's pretty easy. But I needed it to be a nice tight thing. I didn't want a big bulk of shit, whether it was a connector or anything like that. And the solder was the easiest way to do that. And then just put some heat shrink over it.
These things I use, once they're crimped and stuff with the heat shrink, it's not much difference in size than the actual wire. Okay. It's really not. And it's strong as shit.
And then do you stagger them as well, kind of, or is it
depends on the situation. Like once it comes out, like right there, I mean, I don't really worry about that. But if it's something that, like you said, if it's within the bar, there's no way in hell. You don't want that. I mean, it's to the point where space matters in those bars. So like on the fly-by-wire, what I'll do with the fly-by-wire setup is you have that green plug, and then there's the black one in there that's for like heated grips. I'll ask the person, do you ever want to put heated grips on here? And they're like, well, maybe. I'm like, all right, well, you're gay, so you don't need to put that in there. Like, you don't need fucking heated grips. Put fucking gloves on.
That's another wire.
Like, that's stupid. Like, who puts heated grips on their fucking motorcycle? Like, you're on a motorcycle, dude. You're not in your fucking Tesla.
I'm not disagreeing.
So I take that stupid thing out of the equation. And what I'll do is I'll unpin one pin at a time out of the green plug. I'll put them together, and I'll heat shrink with the glued heat shrink. And I just get rid of the green plug altogether. And then I'll put friction tape. I'll wrap the whole harness now with friction tape. So now it's only about less than 3/16 in diameter. So now you can string it through past all the other 10,000 wires you have to string it through.
Yeah.
And it goes through. And then there's this shit that I came upon at True Value one day. It was called Wire Aid, and it looks like semen.
Really?
Yeah,
What
no,
is,
literally.
is it oil or grease?
It's like
or
this
something?
clear, gooey stuff that, you know, look, that's, I mean,
Well,
I don't know what else it looks.
Yeah.
I would say Elmer's glue, but it's not as white. So
it sounds like it looks like that.
that's it. Cody can vouch. It's literally, so you just take and just guzzle it all over your wires. And then
And it helps. Huh?
and then you what I use a piece of MIG wire. I'll use a piece of
that's a good piece.
023 wire or something like that, something thin, or 035, whatever you have. I'll string it through the bar first, and then I'll hook it and wrap it around the wires, and then I'll use either friction tape or electrical tape to wrap it up. And then I'll just carefully, after it's lubed up with that shit. I mean, you can use, I've seen people use grease. I wouldn't use grease because the shit gets all over your fucking hands.
Yeah. And push and pull. Don't just fucking try and pull that shit. Push and pull, push and pull.
You have to really feel what's going on. Because
Yep.
if you start pulling, you're going to either, because who knows what the fucking moron did when they welded the tips together when they pointed.
Could be boogers in there
Yeah,
for God knows what, Yep.
So you have to take your time.
I used to always tell them because I helped them one time, and it was nothing but cussing. And I said, "Okay, you know what?
I love to
Just get up and walk away from it.
doing
bit
bars
then
and
come back.
bars and risers and stuff, like on a CAN bus bikes all day long. Much easier.
Dude, I just did a friend of mine wanted to get his bike back together 2 days before my birthday ride. I'm like, seriously, dude? But I helped him out. He ledges suspension in the front, legends in the rear, new bars. Sorry, Jason. he put the 8-hanger factory 47, type bars on it. But I was fucking like, dude, this is the
What your bike?
Oh, it's like a 20, 21.
And you put factory 47 14s?
Uh-huh.
That's a piece of cake.
Yeah.
On that bike,
dude, I fucking was like, when I was done with it, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
I'm all, this is a bar job now.
Yeah.
I'm like, from a mechanic standpoint and doing it like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Easy, not easy money, but fucking talking about lightening up the workload for your ass.
As long as you don't add heated grips to it.
He added heated grips.
Did he really? No.
Yes, he did.
Oh man. Well, did you put them on?
As a matter of fact, no. Here's what happened. We put the whole bars together. Sorry, Jason. We put the bike together. I had the bars done that night. Wired done. I think just the fucking grips weren't on.
Mm-hmm.
But everything was ran through. They were on the bike. Everything was poking out the bottom. They were done. Came back the next day. He stopped at Harley. Said, I always want heated grips.
Oh, no.
Bought the fucking heated grips. Well, on the canvas bikes, I've never fucked with heated grips personally, but he got a little overzealous in what he had to do, and he pulled the fucking wires like back out. And I guess you just have to like depin or do some little bullshit on the end of the fucking tampon looking throttle by wire thing.
Oh yeah.
There's like a little,
Yeah.
like you don't have to necessarily run a wire all the way through. You
So
steal power from something else now.
because it does plug into the bike down below.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's that canvas system.
Yeah.
It changes the whole stinking
Yeah,
game and
yeah.
everything. So he didn't have to do all that shit. All he had to do was like depin something on the end of the throttle by wire
Yeah.
and then be done with it.
Okay.
But he pulled the whole damn thing
Oh.
out. So I was like, hey, and it was funny because his girl was here. She helped with the social media stuff with me.
Mm.
So she was here, and she was telling me, goes, he doesn't like to read instructions, and in the instructions it told him exactly what the fuck to do. And I was like, probably should read instructions real quick now going forward.
Well, that's one thing that me and Anthony we're always.
I look at pictures.
We look at the picture.
Yeah,
We don't actually
shapes.
read the instructions. Who's reading these things?
No, I will. I mean, I'll
Sometimes-
force myself, but dude, I used to have Cody. I'd have to have Cody read me the shit
Yeah,
because for some reason I get lost in it.
yeah.
So because I was diagnosed with ADD and ADHD as a kid, whatever. But
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know. I just unless I'm not gonna say that what I was about to say, but anyway, it's hard for me to like read sometimes. Not everything, but
Same thing with me.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to hand it over to Cody to read it, or my girlfriend, I would hand it over for her to read it. But if it has pictures,
yeah,
I'm all for it.
Everyone's mind works different. Like some people, when you read something, my daughter struggles with that a little bit. Like that's the reading comprehension bullshit that they had in school. My daughter struggles with that bullshit too.
It was so bad when I used to work for the hot rod shop, because Fred, he was very meticulous on how he wanted things done. So he'd be like, hey, I need you to go and just make this like this. And I'm like, how? And he's like, just do it like this, like I'm telling you. And I'm like, can you draw me a picture? So he'd have to draw me a picture or draw what he wanted, and I would go cut it out of metal. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, unless I come up with it myself, I can't. Like, that was the hardest part, is getting into someone else's head back then to see how he wanted. So that's when I worked for somebody. That was the biggest struggle I had. Not even a struggle. It would just take me some time. But when I worked for someone else, and this was what was nice about Cody, I was able to basically mold into what I needed him to be, because he didn't have prior experience. So I didn't have to fight some fucking know-it-all that wasn't going to change or do what I needed him to do at my shop.
Yeah.
But when I work for someone else, I need to get into their head and know how they want to do things, because that's ultimately, it's their shop, it's their name, it's how they want it out that fucking door.
Yep.
So that was something that was always like hard for me to do, and I kind of fought with in my head. But ultimately, it was because I meant well to try to adapt myself to what they wanted. You know what I mean?
To the shop, to the product, to everything. Yeah,
exactly.
But you were, once you learned it and comprehended it, it wasn't like you had to be shown again. You actually had it up here, and you could do
I mean, with
10, 15 times.
how the whole bike thing started for me, like, I've been into Harleys and stuff since basically he got his bike back in '96. And it's something that I just liked because my dad had it and stuff. And it's some things we did ourselves, and I was introduced, and I'd already been into things in general. So,
how did you, was the FXR your first Harley?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so did you have bikes
I
prior
had bikes
to that?
Before. I had,
but no Harley.
Back in Ohio.
Okay.
I was running
Vespas,
a 650 Yamaha, a 450
Those
Honda,
are fun too.
a 350 Honda, because I was told these are the reliable motorcycles. Don't buy a Harley.
I don't know why people buy Harleys.
You were told those were the reliable bikes, and then and ironically, you went and bought an FXR.
Well, and that was a whole thing back then, because from what I remember, it was a lot of money to try to buy that bike, buy a Harley, because you didn't think he was gonna be able to even afford one. And I think it was 10 or 15 grand back then when you bought it.
It was 15,000.
Yeah.
Me, you, and my ex went to Bartell's.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what I was getting myself into.
But before he decided, we were going and looking at fucking Suzuki Intruders and Honda Shadows.
So you were in the market to buy a bike.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And I don't know what steered me to Harley. I don't know if we knew somebody that had a Harley.
It's a fucking Harley.
I think
it was so different.
To be in the Harley culture.
Yeah. It was so different back then. I just remembered that I think it had a lot to do with, like, if he could afford it, it was just a more expensive motorcycle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could buy a Shadow or Suzuki Intruder for fucking next to nothing, brand new, or, he couldn't buy a brand new Harley. I mean, it was 15 grand. That was a lot of fucking money back in '96 to buy a motorcycle.
This was used.
Used. It was a lot of money. Yeah.
The bike, the FXR is a 91. That was 1996. So.
And I think the salesperson had something to do with steering me into the FXR.
Okay.
I mean, right up in front, they had the.
I'm hoping I'm hearing in a good way.
In a good way.
Okay.
They said, you know what? This is the bike you need to buy.
Okay.
This is a nice riding, smooth bike to ride. You don't want to buy this bike or this bike. And I don't even think I had this condition that I have now.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
Your neck's been fucked up since I was a kid,
Yeah, that's true.
but it
And,
wasn't as bad as it is now.
Yeah, and you would be it'd be worth your while, and then showing us the FXR that was in the
So
The
back
Harley-
then they
the Mar-
had the Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man bike up in the window. And this is back when, before they've changed what Bartels looks like. This is old Bartels.
Okay.
Same location, but old building,
So
so
it was wood like and shit. Wasn't it like an old?
I don't remember.
It looked like an old car dealership. This is what it looked like to me.
I don't
That
remember.
picture or something anyway. But yeah, now it's totally different.
Oh, it's
yeah.
freaking huge.
Yeah.
Like Colton, he's the son of the owners there, Colton Bartels. I went there to get some, I forgot what part for somebody's bike, and he took me through a walk through the whole place, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, different levels and shit. Like
Crazy.
they have underground parking there now.
Wow.
Like literally, I almost got my truck stuck down there.
Oh, really?
Dude, it sucked. I was like, why did I even drive my truck down in here?
Yeah, they've been around for a while then. Yeah, that Bartels has been a long-standing Harley dealership here in Southern California.
Yeah.
And I forget the guy's name.
His name was
The salesman.
Joey Bush.
Joey
Bush.
Joey Bush.
Is there a reason or significance that you remember it?
I have the old business card, a picture of it. You actually
Oh,
have
no
it
shit.
somewhere still.
I still have the card.
Oh, no shit.
And I don't know if
And
you
a
have
sales
it or I have
receipt.
it.
You have the sales receipt
The
still.
sales receipt. And we have the picture of me wearing this
Oh yeah.
huge helmet.
Like 3/4 helmet.
And he's standing right next to me right after we buy it.
Yeah.
And I had to, and now I've never been on a Harley. And you know where Bartels is. I had to drive that thing back to Simi Valley on the freeway. I mean, I was just
He hadn't ridden in a while and
Yeah.
stuff. I mean,
Okay.
he didn't have
I was
a bike. I mean, my whole growing up, the bikes that he had was before I was ever born.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So now he's having to ride from, down in Marina Del Rey, but it's not as bad as it is now.
No.
Yeah. How'd you do?
Oh,
I mean, obviously you got it home.
yeah, I got it home.
And I have it still.
Yeah, and you still have it.
And
Yeah.
he still has it. But it was an experience, and I think a lot of it too costs had when I grew up, I was growing up, I didn't learn the stuff that I had to be self-taught. My dad was Spanish,
Oh,
Puerto Rican. We're Puerto Rican.
okay.
And my dad, his thing was go work at the Ford Motor Company, come home, eat dinner, and do it again. Repeat it. Day.
Clock in, clock out. Clock
Come
in, clock
home,
out.
watch TV. And I'm not putting my dad down, but he wasn't very mechanically inclined. So
Yeah.
we were self-taught. And a lot of stuff we did was we didn't have the money.
Yeah.
No, it was like back what he did as a kid and with his brothers and stuff. It was like straight up like what hot rodding was.
Yeah.
No, like legit, like what hot rodding was. I mean, tell him. I mean,
No.
So
That
I mean, I
Please do.
could tell you a story right now. We had a chain on a 2x4 like that you have right there
in a garage like this,
in
right?
a garage like this,
Small one car like this.
with a little come along gizmo, and that's how we used to pull the engines out of the car
Yep.
and rely on that 2x4 not to split and come. We would be standing right underneath this engine. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like.
And hopefully it doesn't fall when you're trying to roll the car out of there.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of this stuff we had to do when my dad was at work, because my dad did not like us working in the garage. So my friends and
Oil
stuff,
stains, all the bullshit it leaves.
yeah, and he
Yeah.
didn't want to see my friends' cars in the driveway. And so a lot of times we were pressed for time because come around 4:00, we knew he was on his way from Cleveland, from the Ford Motor plant, and
Clean up and
cleanup time.
clean up time.
and that's how we got started, and a lot of it had to do with costs,
Yeah.
learning how to do the stuff. And
Didn't
mind
you
you,
guys-
it snows in Ohio.
Yeah.
Me,
What part of Ohio?
outside of Cleveland.
Outside. Okay.
And I remember me and my brother that just passed away
Rest in peace.
because of cancer. What was I going to say?
Snow.
Working in the snow,
Oh.
putting a rear end into a 1965 GTO that I had. I wish I still had today. Matter of fact, he pulled up a picture a couple days ago.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I were at Trader Joe's. There was a red one outside 65.
But no, the other one was a blue one time that you
Oh.
pulled up. That was the Axe, the
Same color.
the same color, everything. And we would be under there.
If we only knew, man, if we could have kept them all.
If we would have kept all those cars. And back then,
He had some badass cars, dude.
But you didn't know, though. None of us knew what they were going to be 40, 50 years
right,
from.
and some of these cars back in my time, I just give a couple $100 or I trade this car for that car.
He had a 65 GTO. It was like a sky blue type color, had blue interior. He dyed the interior black.
I don't know why I did that.
And it had
something to do.
389.
It had I don't know if it was it called Patriot back then? The side exhaust, was it Patriot that had that? I don't know or Thrust maybe.
Thrust.
So Thrust, the woodpecker thing, Clay Smith.
Oh yeah.
So he had side exhaust on the thing. It was Gabriel air shocks jacked up with old American slotted mags on it and stuff. 4-speed. It was a 389 with a tri-power.
Tri-power, 411 rear.
411 rear end. I mean, that thing had to have hauled ass around town because there were no real freeways back then. So it was all town.
Not in our town.
Dukes of Hazzard shit.
We used to go by the lake. We lived by the lake, and the cruise was to, and back then it was 25 cents a gallon. So a couple dollars, I could go around numerous times and be up on a racing Joe Blow or whatever. I mean, the car ended up blowing up the engine at a race, and we would just go from light to light.
Shit,
and this was every night. do this thing.
Can't do that shit no more.
No.
He also had a 62 Impala that was same thing. It was on American slotted mags. I mean, that was the wheel to have, or Kragers or something back then, or what was other wheels? They're kind of Keystones.
Keystone American.
Yeah. I'm a Krager fan. I like Kragers.
Krager SSs. And
yeah.
So you had American.
Do you want to add?
No, I'll call him. I don't know if he's listening right now.
Maybe fuck. We might even.
No, it's a different Cody.
Oh.
But it was a pretty cool car. I know you still have the picture, but it was like a gold color. Probably original gold, and he had somebody paint this little like money bag on the side of the door, and it said Gold Rush.
Gold Rush.
Yeah,
like that was like legitimately like in the heyday of like hot rodding and shit. Like,
that's dope. Yeah, that is like a lot of it did. Or if you go down to like origins with hot rodding and car building customization, it was really just what happened.
So the live stream. Oh, was it that one?
Oh, that one. Yeah. Tell them to go on YouTube. Yeah, that one goes off after an hour. I can turn it back on actually. But yeah, that one kicks off after an hour. Which I guess we're just an hour into it. Want me to do it again? Yeah, I'll do it again on there. Yeah, let me do it again on there. Hang on. Oh.
So this one's still live, huh?
Which one?
YouTube.
Well, because the YouTube. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Okay, we do that. And then we go like that. And then we go like that. And then we go like that. Yeah, because Instagram only lets you go live for an hour and then they kick you off.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. So we just like went over an hour, so it threw us off on Instagram. But
no, like I was saying,
on YouTube, it's definitely still live.
A lot of things back in my time was all related to cost, and then you had to figure it out. Unless you had the money to take it somewhere to get fixed,
you
couldn't do it. So like when Anthony was growing up, he would figure it out because we couldn't afford to take it somewhere.
Yeah, that's like with my old man. That's how it was. I wasn't around when they were doing it to the level that when it was like budget and figuring it out. But I've told it before, and they were into lowriders. My dad had a '64 Impala. My My uncle had a 61 Impala. Actually, and they even had a 59 Impala. You know how much one
Wow.
of those fucking 59 Impalas is worth right now?
Oh my gosh.
Stupid money,
Yeah.
stupid money. But they had these cars, and just like you, they would just trade them off or sell them or do something like that because it was just back in the day. You know, they didn't know what a value would be to them. None of us did, but they
Imagine if we started trading off Kias and shit.
no shit.
It's just not the same.
No, it's not the
No,
same
it's
at all.
not the
It's not the
same.
same at all. No, not even close. But they would take like the hydraulic pumps out of the tractors. They lived on a farm. My uncle was a mechanic, or my grandpa was the man that would run the orchards and all that stuff. So they had tractors, and they take the pumps out of the tractors that were worn out or whatever, and they'd figure out how to mount them inside of there. And they didn't have batteries, or they had one battery hooked up to super slow as shit, but they were like, fuck, we're moving, like we're going up and down, you know.
Exactly.
So but it was like, that's the roots of it, you know. It really, like, this customization stuff, you know, today's standards and levels, it's show stuff, it's different quality of stuff, but the roots of it start right here, like where we're sitting.
Exactly.
It starts in a garage.
This is exactly the same garage.
Yeah. Same size. Believe it or not, there is a huge difference, especially back in the hot rodding days, from East Coast to West Coast. I don't know if you ever looked into that.
I'd imagine so.
Just on how things were done on the East Coast versus how things were done on the West Coast, especially when it came to like old Model A's and stuff. They had a whole different like way that they did things.
Dude, any region wise shit changes constantly, man. Just bikes from the West Coast to bikes to the middle of the nation to the East Coast. They change in style and region.
Oh yeah. I mean, the bikes, you know, because I just came back from Ohio. It's been about a year. So I was out there about 3 years, and I saw the way that the guys were customizing their bikes and stuff. It was completely different than the way they do it out here.
Yeah. The typically, I mean, historically, I guess, the trend or the whatever the newest stuff will kind of kick off here in this, you know, on the West Coast, so to speak.
Work its way.
Yeah, and then it's slow. Now, I've lived here all my life, you know, in the Southern California. I've been blessed to be able to have that fortune, I guess, in that sense. Now, fuck, I'm not a rich man, but it's not cheap to live here. But we were poor as shit, and we just figured out how to make means to live here and shit. But I've been blessed in that sense, in the car culture and the lowrider shit and the motorcycle stuff, to be in this area of that stuff, because it's the mecca of car and custom culture. You know,
it all starts out here.
Yeah, it really does.
Slowly goes.
It makes its way, across. Dude, how are things with like the shop and shit, man? How are things going over? I know the last time I had you on, you had just, you know, moved from the previous shop, or from the shop, which when I found out, I'm like, it's right down the street from you, dude. Like, it's like a fucking rock throw away.
You could walk there.
You could have walked there. Yeah.
My truck never even warmed up.
Yeah, heater never got warm, nothing. So
that was the ideal scenario.
Real close to home. But I mean, like I was saying earlier, your shop and what you have at the house, I mean, to me, it's a very good work environment, you know, to be in and do work in. How are things going since the last time we were?
It's going good. Like I've gotten out a lot of the stuff that I was backed up on. Cody had moved. Obviously, I think Cody had already. No, I think Cody didn't move yet. Cody, he couldn't make it that night.
That's right. He had not moved, but he could not make it. You're correct.
So, after Cody moved and stuff, and as he was doing his thing, like I was trying to get caught up with stuff. There's a couple fucking cocksucking assholes that I had to have pick up some shit just because they were being impatient. And I just don't have time or patience for people like that. Like, I've had a lot of understanding people. And, this was one person in particular was a neighbor of my old partner, business partner. So once I got some of that shit out of my life, everyone else has been, super patient and stuff. I have a couple bikes that, I still have Dan's Dyna. It's coming together, doing up some, the wiring and stuff, and got to get.
Yeah, that was there last. He joined us last time. Actually,
yeah.
Was his bike there?
Yeah, it was on the lift.
Was there? That's right. It was on the lift.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, so his is coming along. I started on my buddy Demetrius's chopper. So I'm trying to get the wiring situated with that, putting some new hoses on it because a lot of stuff had some weird like oil hoses that somebody put on. It was like this weird clear shit that you get at like Lowe's or something. I don't know what they did. So I put like actual, transmission oil type line, rubber hose, 3/8 hose on there. So I've been doing that. So I just gotta button up a few things with that bike. So those 2 bikes I'm trying to, as I can, do as much as I can, but also I need to take in stuff to keep making money too.
Of course, yeah.
So and then I wait on parts, if I have something I'm waiting on parts and I got to take something else in. So it's been a little bit of a juggle, but they've all been very patient. But
and now, like with Cody, we're referencing Cody, one man band. It's
by myself.
It's the quotes, it's the estimates, it's the part lookup, it's the everything, start to finish.
I personally, if during the day, I'll go out there. I prefer to go out in the evening because during the day, like if I have to order parts and stuff, I'll do that. Or, again, if my girlfriend's not working, like we have stuff that we take care of, because she's also self-employed. So groceries, doing stuff maybe around the house, anything like that, because I do get hit up a lot on the phone, with texting or whatever, or social media. And it's just easier for me to go out in the evening.
Yeah.
I don't get talked to. Nobody bothers me.
Feel you.
And I can just go out there and just do what I got to do.
Yeah.
And I can knock things out pretty fast out there. You know what I mean? So I don't even stress on getting things done. If it's someone that hits me up that has a cam job or, a primary upgrade or something like that, or something stupid and easy, like I tell them, drop it off. I'll have it done the next day.
Yeah.
It'll be done. And because I know what those things, but if it's bigger projects and shit, then it'll take me a little bit longer. But I'm trying to get those 2 out of my life. So, the other stuff I have there, I can focus on.
Yeah. I feel you. Those long-term ones can they're nice to do and they're fun to do because there's always something to do. It always gives you something to work with and tinker on and do, and always have a I don't know, however it works in that sense.
Yeah.
But they're also they're tedious. They can be a nuisance, and like I was saying with the bodywork stuff, we did insurance work, and that was like the money. That was like the in and the out, and the quick and the fast and the boom. Yeah. And like you're saying, cam jobs, primary stuff, and reminder, like you talk about it like, it's the easiest to bullshit. It's not as easy as Anthony sits here and makes it think. So when
the cam job, I mean, it's not something just anybody can do. I mean, I have special tools that pull the inner cam bearing, pulls them out, installs them, setting up, the oil pump. There's, a little process to pre-lubricating the oil pump. You got to take all the little gyro gears out and assembly lube on everything, and then setting it up in the case, new O-rings. Cam plate's pretty simple unless it's like an early bike that has bearings in the cam plate. You got to press the bearings in.
Yeah.
But, you got to have a press. You have to have all the special tools. And then, you're trying to line up the cam gears properly. So there's a lot more. And then obviously lining up the dots for timing and shit. And then you have to have a cam gear locking tool so you can, torque everything to spec, the cam gears and stuff. So there's a lot to it that, somebody just trying to save a buck, it's like,
they're not going to figure it out.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that goes into a cam job that people don't think. A lot of people think it's like, oh, take that out, pop in a little plate, pop in a oil pump. I got the oil pump, put that in, put the plate in, or put the fucking things in, and then just roll on and fucking make sure you line up the dots. No, it's in theory, yes. If you want to outline it in the steps, those are the steps. But there's like 10 need to know things in each one of those steps. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the knowledge and shit like that. I have a friend that I'm kind of helping with a little bit in as far as a new business venture. And one of the things he's been like, we've been kicking around is like price and stuff. Right. And I told him, I said, he's like, well, what, if I only stay there for like half an hour and like, I'm like, hey man, you gotta if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to be a business guy now, you gotta flip your way of thinking a little bit. You gotta stop thinking like you owe them a certain amount of time because they pay you a dollar amount.
Exactly. What's that saying?
Quality work, shitty customer service.
Well, no, it's getting paid what you're worth, making sure. I forget what this.
There's like this, you've probably seen it before, like, you know, you can have things either quick or fast and cheap or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's that too, but
I know what you're talking about. It's
You get like
you're not paying me for
bingo. You're not paying me for my time. You're paying for my experience.
Yeah,
is what you're
right.
paying
you
for.
Want to make
or if
sure,
I can get it done, just because I can get it done in 30 minutes,
Bingo.
or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Like-
that's what him and I have been talking about. And that is like something that people have to understand and realize when you bring something to like you.
I'm at the point in my life now, dude, and my girlfriend had, you know, got on me like this for about this for a long time, about my self-worth and shit, and
exactly,
like and what I charge, because I didn't charge shit in the beginning when I went on my own, because I've been self-employed now for probably 6-7 years.
It's a balance though, because at the beginning you gotta get work, you know, and so
but
I get it,
you know, and but the thing is that I already started a long time ago. You know what I mean? I just always worked for someone.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or come across the wrong way, but honestly, I really don't give a fuck anymore. If somebody comes to me and says, well, so-and-so can do it cheaper, well, go fuck yourself and take it to so-and-so.
Go take it over.
Like, I literally don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm at the point where I have plenty of work and I'm very thankful for my customers, and my customers are friends of mine. Like I become friends. I become, you know, we form a relationship and stuff. And, you know, I'm very thankful for those people, but it's like when I have somebody that comes in off that I hate new people. I'm always like, oh, great, this is a new person. Somebody fucking referred to me. It's like, all right, let's see, you know, hopefully they're cool. But, you know, some people want to try to like wheel and deal with me. And it's like, dude, I can only do so much.
Yeah.
Like, I want your business, but I'm not going to do it for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, because if I wasn't around and you couldn't find anywhere else, you're going to go take it to the dealer or take it to some other shop, and you're going to end up paying that amount.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I give people breaks in other areas where there's a lot of shops out there that'll charge you for every stupid little thing.
Yeah.
Every stupid thing. Like I have the drain plug O-rings, the 11105 O-rings, you know, for the drain plugs.
Need 3 of them.
Yeah, 3 of them or whatever. Yeah, I have hundreds of them. I don't charge for that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I bought hundreds of them because they're just to me, they're disposable.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not going to charge somebody the $1.99 that Harley charges for it. So, you know, I try to do the best I can, but I'm at the point in my life where I just don't have the time or patience it just puts a fucking wrench into my gear when I have somebody come and try to do that, when I got plenty of other people that, like, if you don't work out, dude, there's going to be somebody right behind you that's like ready to come in and do something and has no problem spending the money with me.
Yeah.
Because honestly, dude, as you know, parts are a lot more than the labor, really. Parts are retarded, dude. They're so fucking expensive now.
Yeah.
Like,
the industry has set the bar, or the fucking hipsters and the have set the standard for what fucking parts are. You know,
I mean, it's expensive, and there's no way around it. Like, it is what it is. Even just building my road glide that I'm flipping. I mean, I'm already into that thing. Fuck, dude, probably like almost $4,000, dude. You know what I mean? Like, just in my, you know, of how I've acquired stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
that doesn't even involve your time.
No, it doesn't involve my time. And I'm building a fucking motor from the ground up. I mean, if you were to go buy an S&S crate motor, you're looking at, you know, probably $6,000 and up for a whole motor. Like, to build a motor is not any cheaper. The crank alone in that thing is $1,600 freaking dollars.
That's what I have in my my road glide here, S&S bottom end, and that sucker. Yeah, and that's what I fucking spent for.
Yeah, I mean, with tax and everything, it's a $1,700 crank.
Yep.
And then
shipping, they don't ship for fucking free. The thing weighs a country fucking ton.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and I did the bottom end myself. If you were to send it off to Dark Horse or Revolution, I mean, you're going to spend a couple grand just on the bottom end.
Yeah.
You know, and then I put S&S piston oilers in there, or piston jets. I put all new case bearings in it, upgraded cam bearings in it. I repainted everything, the bead blast silver.
I saw that. Came out nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it came out good, man.
And then now the cylinders are at the machine shop. They were already
that's another cost.
Yeah. I mean, I have to pay the machine shop, so I'm having them.
And they don't pick up and deliver.
No, I got to take all that stuff.
That's your time,
your
your fuel, all this stuff.
Which that's another thing. Like when I do a bike for someone, I don't charge them to take their shit over to the machine shop or the powder coater.
Yeah.
It's just whatever I charge, I charge.
Yeah.
And that's where they're saving. That's what the difference is between me and some other people.
Right.
Some people might run it the way I do it too, you know, but
Yeah.
you know,
Do I hear sirens?
Mhm.
No, I do. Yeah, these things pick up everything.
Oh, do they?
Oh, they can probably be like they're definitely not on my street. The next closest street is way out there. Yeah, they pick up everything. It's insane.
So yeah, that motor was you know, your typical early model twin cam. It blew an inner cam bearing and just wrecked havoc in the motor.
That's what'll happen.
Yeah. So I put a new right side case, or a good used right side case, and did the bottom end and everything. And then the cylinders I took, they were the thing, somebody already did a 95 top end on it.
Nice.
So I bought 10 over pistons because it had some light scoring on the cylinders. So they'll either bore or hone or whatever they need to do to get it to the right specs, the piston to cylinder clearance. So I went with the Keith Black Hypertechnic 10.5-to-1 pistons.
Nice.
We'll have some nice pistons in it. And then I don't ever touch the heads on those. It's an 05, so it's already got beehive springs and slightly larger ports and stuff. I don't get into the porting and polishing thing. Again, as you know, I'm more about the torque number than the horsepower number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As most Harley performance anybody should be.
Yeah,
torque is where it's at.
You know what? I do motors. I put motors together. I've had great luck and success with the ones that I have done, and very, you know, good numbers have been put out. Like, I'm not into building giant race motors and all this porting and polishing and what, you know, wacky throttle bodies. And, you know, if somebody wants that and go through all that, then great, whatever, we'll do it. But, you know, if I ever got my hands on a situation like that, then it would have to be a proven situation. I'm not just going to go by, you know, some person saying, oh, I want to put that cam and I want to do these heads. And there's more that goes into building a motor properly like that.
Yeah.
Than, you know, just picking a bunch of parts out. But
that's how I built mine. I mean, that I took mine to Monty and I told him, hey man, I want you to build me an engine, a 107 and do the work to it to make it, like, do the math, do what you got to do, you know, and that's what he came up with the combination. Like you said, if we're going to do this, you need this much air and you need this much shit. So you got to get this and do all that. But you're right. You can't just go and say, I want this cam and then I want this throttle body and I want these because that combination, that combination shit just doesn't work.
Well,
like,
it's called blueprinting.
Exactly.
Yeah,
my fucking engine was blueprinted to a fucking spec. To matter of fact, I think I had to go.
Oh, the rods?
No, the fucking pistons. So unfortunately, if you haven't heard, Mackey going out of business. So Dave Mackey Engineering is going out of business. And so that's what my motor is. Monty built it for me. So it's got, they do their head work, their port and polish, all that bullshit. Right. So he did all that it's when I told him the blueprint.
Hemisphere.
It's the megasphere is what they call it. Right. Like that, so they have their heads, their head work and all that shit is, they cut them down to a specific fucking thing. Yeah. And those heads will only
work like some access machine or whatever that does all that shit. Right?
Well, the head work that they do and their piston, their megasphere shit, it'll only work with that fucking piston. So because they're going out of business and I like to have fun and I'm going to do something with that motor at some because what he said, they'll be available. Here's what he told me. He said, they'll be available from, I think it's Carrillo that machines them for them, but probably not for a year. And then when they do, you'll have to buy two to fucking have them make them. They won't just make one set. So I was like, well, just give me a fucking set now. I'll store them on the shelf. And then whenever either I blow it up or I need a refresh, then at least I already fucking have them sitting here waiting. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that I would love to learn more about. You know,
it's a whole nother thing. Dude.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would love to learn more of the ins and outs of, you know, the technical stuff that goes into doing a motor, but you know, the ones that I've done, you know, with, you know, certain cams that I like and how they perform, you know, especially with like a flat top piston, you know, standard pistons and stuff. Like, I'm not really big into the whole high compression piston thing. I usually just run flat top cast pistons on things with a cam. And, you know, I've milled some heads down, you know, from the machine shop. They'll mill off, you know, like on a 88 inch that's pumped, you know, a 95. I do like 50 thou.
Okay.
I've done a 103 with like 30 thou off the heads, just a bump compression. I know, you know, a lot of people probably don't go that route. That's kind of like a hot rod thing from back in the day. Used to mill like flathead motors and stuff. So, you know, and I've had good success with that, with that setup. And, but again, I'm not saying it's the right or wrong way to do things. I know there's a lot more that goes to it. And again, I would love to learn more about that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not it's like you said, it's not a right or a wrong way. It's just a way,
yeah.
you know, that's really what it boils down to.
I went off the way I do things is kind of off the way my mentor that, you know, Mike, you know.
Oh yeah. We forgot about Mike, your neighbor.
He's my mentor. He basically, you know, he taught me about, you know,
the guy I met. No, not that guy, right?
That was Dave. That was my
okay.
landlord. Yeah.
Okay.
This is old school Mike.
Yeah. He, you know, he kind of walked me through, like when I built my, my 06 Road Glide, I blew the motor in it. So we took it all apart and stuff and went 95 with it from 88. And we had, this old HA, his name's Painter Joe. He was up in Quartz Hill. So he did all like my machine work and stuff. So he had, you know, bored the cylinders for me. We just went with Screaming Eagle flat top pistons and that. And then, man, he must have taken off like 60 thou off my heads, dude, because when we put the motor back together, I couldn't even get the intake manifold between the cylinders.
Oh my god.
So I had to sit there and like hand file the flanges and test fit it. And finally I got it in. But dude, to this day, that was probably the fastest fucking bike I ever had. I mean, all my friends I used to ride with, they can vouch for that. Like that bike, and he knows. Him and I went to freaking Cronies one day. And, you know, I shouldn't have done this, but, you know, he drank, I drank. I was probably had, I don't know how many, 5 schooners in me.
All done dumb shit.
And we pull up to Tapo Street, dude. And, you know, he just cruises and shit. And we pull up to Tapo Street and I just fucking light it up, dude. I put the bike sideways across the fucking intersection all the way across. We get to the house, like real around the corner. He's like, you're gonna fucking drop that thing one day.
It was crazy sideways. I couldn't believe that bike didn't just fall over because he was just sideways.
Got deep in that shit, huh?
But dude, I mean that bike, dude, it was like you didn't have to hold the front brake or anything, dude. I would literally fry tire through third gear. It would just fucking just annihilate the back tire.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it hauled ass, dude. And so I'm building this motor. Kind of similar. I didn't want to deck the heads or anything, so I just went with the 10.5 to 1 pistons. You know, I noticed that I kind of just use it for reference. I know S&S makes 100-inch top end, bolt-on top end with stock heads.
Yeah, I've seen
and
it.
It's like a little over 10.5, or maybe it was a little more than 10, but it was up there in compression. So I'm like, well, fuck, if you can go 100-inch on stock heads, why can't I go 95-inch with 10.5 to 1? You know what I mean? And it's still what is it, 85 cc the stock heads, the combustion chambers. Yeah, combustion chamber on stock heads I think is 85 cc's, give or take.
On 90 on an 88 or a 90
early motor. Even the newer motors, I think, not M8s, but I think, you know, up to 17, I think they're like 85 cc's, but they're not the same. If you ever had a head CC'd, you have one stock head and another stock head, they're going to CC different.
Yeah.
And that's where all that technical shit comes into play.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Where you're trying to match everything.
The blueprint shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where all that shit came from.
So, I mean,
well, you're building this Road Glide now from basically engine wise bottom end. And then, you know, yeah. And so where you still have the engine out sitting on the table or bench or something now?
Yeah, I have the cylinders at the machine
shop. So basically, you got rods sticking out of the bottom end right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you already have the pistons.
I have the pistons. They're with the machine shop right now. So they're going to bore or hone or whatever they have to do to clean them up and match everything. And then I just told them, hey, just check out the heads, clean everything up. I said, you don't need to surface nothing. Like, you know, just make sure they don't have bent valves for any reason. Yep. Make sure everything seals good, and then put some new valve guide seals. And just, you know, they just check them out for me. They do a vacuum test and all that on all the ports.
Perfect.
And then when that comes back, then I'm just going to paint those cylinders black, the texture black from Harley. Just no highlights, just solid black. And then I'll do the head solid blonde, no highlights. So when it's all together, it kind of looks like pan head, shovel head looking. You know, because my 06, I did
cool.
My 06,
pretty cool.
Yeah. My 06, I did a full black conversion too, because it was a blonde drivetrain. So I powder coated everything, and then I painted the cylinders I had were actually given to me. They were black highlighter already. The heads were blonde, so I painted them black, and then I took and dremeled all of the fins and highlighted them myself.
Nice.
And then I did the case. I welded the bottom end myself. I trued it myself, put new bearings myself on that motor. And it's still, I mean, somebody has it somewhere still, but, and I pulled the trans, painted the trans, and did everything like, you know, badass. So you would never even have known that it was not a black drivetrain.
Nice.
But I didn't want to go through all that with this bike because I'm just trying to turn and burn it. You know, it'll have a lot of cool shit. It'll have a chain drive. The front suspension supposedly already has progressive monotubes in it. I put the late model Harley shocks. It'll have a 2-up drag seat, 9.5 pullback risers.
It's gonna be a new bike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Somebody wants it.
It's got the 19-inch enforcer wheel I put on it. It'll have Brembo calipers.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a nice bike. Yeah,
it's got a chrome thunder header. I mean, and I'm not looking to get an arm and a leg. I just want to get, I'm honestly, I'm thinking about asking about 12 or best for it.
Baggers are fucking hot right now, dude. Yeah. Like if you, I mean, I don't know. I'm not even gonna make a suggestion on what to put it at. You probably have a better idea, but what I will fucking tell you is don't shortchange yourself in this market that's fucking out there right now, because this market is stupid hot right now.
I've had quite a bit of those bikes. And I know, I mean, you can find a pretty clean one for between 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Stock
though. Yeah. Stock, that's the difference though. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Stock. This is going to have motor work. It's going to have bars. It's going to have a seat. It's going to have suspension.
It's according to what I've seen. I mean, I'm not into that whole wheelie, burnout scene. I mean, maybe burnouts, but, I know it seems like a lot of guys really like the skinny tire baggers. I
think for like wheeling, stunting, and all that shit. Yeah, that seems to be the go-to for it. I don't know why. Just easier to slide around. I don't know.
I don't
know.
There's also a light bike though, honestly.
There's also a lot of less like electronic bullshit on them that you don't need, like with the other stuff. You know, like you don't need fucking ABS bullshit. You don't need none of that other crap that they're doing with them.
Why is baggers popular now than they were when I was?
It's because people started wheeling them.
Yeah. Well, no, because everybody, when I was looking at bikes, don't look at that, don't buy that. That's an old man's bike.
So isn't that interesting? Isn't that funny how where we're at? It's completely
a Road Glide is like literally the most popular Harley to have.
It's so funny, man. Yeah,
why is that? Right. I mean, the baby boomers are all going towards a bagger.
Yeah, it's
is it age?
No, you know what?
I like gold wings.
I like it's a very valid question. If I have to give my opinion on it, there's a genre of bikes that has blossomed and become something over the past several years. And it's what is referred to, maybe you've heard it, as a performance bagger. So that is kind of the genre of bikes that is really a trend right now.
I don't know if you've seen that bagger racing league that they have. Like they race some like street bikes now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which is actually, I've been to one. I went to Laguna Seca to go and watch it. And I think out in, what's the one way out there on the 10, way the fuck out there? Chuckwalla, I think. Chuckwalla. Anyways, I went out to go watch a couple of the races, and they are hoofing around that fucking track. They are fucking slinging those baggers. On baggers. Yeah, wow. It's called now these aren't just your like fucking like your off the shelf bagger. These are highly modified, like from
your seating position, everything's way different.
I mean, aluminum swing arm, really raised, like the foot controls are like up here. They're like rear sets.
They sit on them like jockeys on horses.
Yeah, they're totally like set up for just track hauling ass racing.
Look that up on YouTube.
Yeah, but that is kind of that's the scene, that's the genre, that's the trend right now, and it has attracted a lot of young people to it. Right. My take on it is it's attracted a lot of people to it simply because there's a cost associated with it, right? And like when there's a cost associated with something, people like to flex, kind of like to put out that look what I got sort of stuff. And we live in a social media world now, and so that trend has become, that performance bagger trend has become really big. And the parts world, like Anthony was talking about, it's really expensive, and there's a shit ton of stuff out there for them, and people want to build their bikes like that now. You know, I think they figured out also that a road glide is, I figured it out a while ago. I'm not the innovator. I'm certainly not the fucking first one that figured out that a road glide is, I can make this thing go fucking really fast and handle really good, and still have a lot of the comforts of a big giant fairing and some saddlebags and all the other shit that comes along with it. Like 2015, I was riding with another set of group of guys where it was a hard and it was fast and it was long, and a Dyna didn't do it. And
right,
this is what I transformed to.
Because a friend that gave us showed you back the FXR. I think a week after he had it, he goes, "Where do I put all my shit?" And I go, "What do you mean?" Because I have no place to put anything and nothing.
Yeah.
And he modified the bike, and he put a cigarette lighter on it.
Gotta light your cigarettes.
And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" You know, this is more like a bar hopper. You know,
the funny thing is that you know, he referred to it as a Dyna,
Really?
like the whole time, like
The FXR?
Yeah, and I'm like,
Interesting.
it's not a Dyna, dude.
Yeah.
It's an FXR. Like,
and mind you, I had an electric guide that I was selling at the same time, red, and I says, "You need to buy this bike. Forget about this bike."
but
But
the
since this
FXR
bike
FXR rode good.
They rode
it's
good,
not
and it was all
horrible.
customized where the electric guide wasn't.
I gotcha.
But I says, "You've got," you know, I had the trunk, the whole bit.
Yeah.
And I says, "You got all kinds of comforts here." And I was telling him, this rides like a Cadillac.
Oh, sure did. Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons I bought the bike.
If you want to ride and be comfortable and stuff, and still
Mhm.
have a bike that performs, I mean, a bagger's the only way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, like, all right, you know, once I get the FXR going again, I'll ride it and stuff. But you know, with the bags, I'll have leather pros and a windshield and shit, like, and it'll ride nice. Like, but ultimately, I mean, once you go to a bagger, there's really no going back.
Yeah,
There
that's really what it kind of boils down to. When you hit that, when you figure out and you realize, holy crap, this is very comfortable. This
Yeah.
is this makes sense.
Yeah.
It's hard to go back. Let me ask you a question then, Dad. If you just because you're on the other spectrum of it, you're like, why are baggers so popular now? What do you think? What do you take? What do you make out of it? Is it weird? Is it, I mean, what is it?
No,
Do you like to see it?
I
Is it-
love to see it. I was
Okay.
watching Surges on YouTube a couple of weeks ago. You know, I was just going through the TV on YouTube, and then that popped up, and I couldn't believe all the baggers on the way to Surges. And once they got to Surges, that's all that basically was there.
Even more. Yeah.
More. And I think it's the ride comfort.
I think everybody got over that whole old man thing a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah.
And now everybody it's just normal. It's like it's literally the baggers, or whether it be a Road King or an Ultra, like that's just the bike to have.
Yeah. And I, to your point, man, it's I think it's more of not that people got over it. Oh, it's just an old person's bike. It's they figured out, people figured out how to make an quote unquote old person's bike look fucking cool.
Cool.
Now.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
I agree with
Well,
that.
think
I
about
agree.
think about all the bullshit with Sportsters back in the day. That's a girl's bike.
Yeah.
Dude, I've had Sportsters.
I
love Sportsters. I think they're fucking fun.
I took my fucking motorcycle DMV test on a Sportster.
I'm too fucking big for one.
I look like a
personally.
fucking giant gorilla on one. I don't know, dude. I had to ride my ex-girlfriend's bike. She fucking bought a Harley. She bought a Sportster from Simi Valley, and she didn't have a permit. She didn't have shit. She went and bought that thing, and I had to ride it back. And she took a picture of me because she was driving behind me. And boy, it was stock bars. My knees were all up in my shit, but it was a 1200, and it was a fun little fucking. If it had bars that were like up higher for me, and I wasn't so fat and everything, it'd been a fucking really nice fucking fun bike, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've grown to just like motorcycles. You
Yeah.
know, I don't like all of them. I think a lot of them are ugly, but you know, if it has nice style and it's a good, reliable bike, I mean, I've had a Goldwing before. I love Goldwings. I think they're awesome.
Never rode a Goldwing.
They're fucking
Never rode
awesome,
one.
dude. They're so awesome. The only thing that sucks,
The black one that you had
Yeah.
was an awesome looking
the
bike.
F6B
It's like the
Goldwing.
Batmobile.
Don't they have a reverse on them too?
That one didn't.
No, but don't they have an assist or something like? Some of them have an assist.
Some, I
Huh?
think, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem with the Goldwing and getting past it is nothing beats the sound of a Harley.
Right.
Literally, like a Harley,
Exactly.
like nothing beats the sound. Like, you know, a Harley has its own sound, like, you know, and then the aftermarket industry just revolves around it. But when you're on a Goldwing, you'll love riding a Goldwing. It's the performance of it's amazing, how smooth they are, like they're just a bitchin' fucking bike. But when you go by all your friends and it sounds like that's not cool.
Yeah, it's hard to come back from that. It's hard to recover
When you're the only one that sounds like that, you know, and they don't really make too many options for
shit.
exhausts.
But I bet you could fucking do miles upon miles upon
Yeah.
miles on that,
and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah, and then
Like-
you go to the dark side and put the car tire on the
Yeah.
back and go fucking
Yeah.
100,000 miles on
You
that
ever
damn
seen
thing.
that?
What's that?
People they'll take this, you know, regular rear motorcycle tire off the Goldwing,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll put like a 195 or
Yeah,
something like
tiny
that.
little 50 whatever
A
size
car
yeah,
tire.
car tire in
Oh,
the back.
really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then you'll never wear out a car tire.
Wow.
Really,
You get like fucking like 40,000-50,000 miles out of that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say actually that they take, from what I understand, you take a little bit of air out of it and you
Mhm.
don't run it like super hard. And then so like when you do corner, the I guess it'll collapse a
Yeah.
little bit on itself. But that was a concern of mine. I'm like, okay, well, it's not round. If you hit the corner, what happens if the tire does this?
Mm.
Right, but they say that it'll like fold on itself and the rim will
Yeah.
come down like on the tire.
Wow.
And a lot of people that do that actually say that they're like, it handles really stinking good, like because you have all that contact on the ground, you
ground.
know, instead of just an inch of stinking tire from
Yeah.
your motorcycle, you got 8 inches wide of tire. It's interesting.
Mm.
They call it the dark side, never gone, never
No,
rode
I've
one.
never heard that.
Yeah, but they run car tires on that ship.
Yeah.
So
That's
he
crazy.
had that black one that was just
Yeah, it was a bitchin' bike. I actually really liked it. And it had a TBR slip-on exhaust, so when you revved it up, it didn't sound like the Jetsons, but it literally, if you revved it up, like it sounded like a fucking Ferrari, dude. Like it was
different sound.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
gnarly sounding.
Yeah.
And it was I think 1800 cc's or something. The fucker was fast.
Oh, I
dude.
bet.
Like it was fucking
Well,
fast.
You seen the fucking size of the engine in that thing?
Yeah,
They're
it's
giant. They're
giant
protruding out the
four-cylinder.
side of
Yeah.
that thing. They're huge.
Or no, that was a 6-cylinder, I think. In that
Yeah,
bike.
they're huge.
Yeah.
They are giant engines protruding out that thing, man.
Yeah.
So, well, what do you got coming up next, man? You're gonna be. I know you were. I've seen you tinkering around with moving.
Mhm.
You know, is that still kind of up on the table?
Oh, yeah.
That's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's time to bail, huh?
It was time to bail. It was time to bail when I'd already moved there
Yeah,
to Arizona.
yeah. It's bad here. We just had the stupid election on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm in awe, man. I'm like in shock sitting here going, how do we keep electing this stupid fucking governor? I don't understand. I don't
No way.
fucking understand how that's possible.
They
By a landslide too, not even fucking
oh,
close.
really?
There's
Wow.
no way. There's something going on, and they're dealing with that right now in Arizona with Carrie Lake and
I saw that.
Katie Hobbs chick. And I mean, it sounds like Carrie Lake's gonna win. You know, they have the media that's, you know, bullshit and stuff out there, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on, and you know, with you know what you've seen and what my dad's seen over the years, like I never was political or cared about any of that shit. Never cared until now, because you know it has to do with our future and our children's future, and it's
Yep.
like if they're trying to ruin like, you know, everything, you know, it's just, especially a state like Arizona, man, like like there's no way, like you go to Arizona, you spend time in Arizona, those people are not liberals.
Yeah.
They're not.
Nope.
Like
They moved to Arizona for a reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they're trying to turn it into a liberal area,
Yeah.
you know.
It's the fucked up part about this politics bullshit. Well, not the politics portion of it. The voting portion of it is
Yeah.
like certain demographics, certain Phoenix and Tucson.
Mhm.
If those are blue, then the rest of the state, their population and their shit is meaningless. You can see the whole rest of the state red. And
Maricopa County's huge.
Yeah. So if that is blue,
Yeah.
then you basically
And,
won the shit. That's
you
how
know,
that's how it rolls.
Pima County, you know, Tucson and all that is pretty big too. But I mean, you got the whole. It's like I was looking at the map with the colors on it, and you know, up further northeast is like blue, and I'm like, who in the hell lives out there? Like, I looked on the map, I looked all over Arizona of different places where I would, you know, maybe, hey, look, this might be a cool place to go, you know, but I kept going back to, you know, the East Valley of Phoenix, you know,
Okay.
and I'm like, I'm zooming in. I mean, there's Page, Arizona, but there's nobody out there. It's all mountains and like ranges and like, who voted out there? The freaking animals,
dude. Yeah, it's I'm not a. You vote.
I don't vote.
I go and vote. I know I sadly know that my vote for here as a Republican or just any of that here in California, it sucks. It's not going to do shit. I know that, sadly, but I still will go and exercise it. And I fucking can't believe I was watching it going, I don't understand. We had a recall for this fucker. We had a recall for this governor, and we didn't do it then. And here we are, screwed up the ass still. I feel like we're screwed. I feel like we're floating, like we're neck deep, and we're like, put him in again, coach.
Put him in there.
Put him again, coach. He gave up the home run last game. Go ahead, do it. It's insane, dude. It's insane. The political stuff, man. I'm with you. I didn't get into it, and maybe in my 30s. I just hit 40 this year, and so maybe around my 30s is when I actually, like, around when Obama started coming in. I'm like, shit don't feel right. Something funny around here, you know. Like, let me
That's
and
the way I felt.
Yeah, and so I got not into it like hardcore into it, but just educating myself a little bit more before I was like, okay, what side lines up with how I think and all that shit. And I'm like, this is fucked. I don't like that shit. This is not for me.
I'm not for one side or the other personally. I have no desire to ever vote. You know, I
that's an independent, and that's what you know. What's funny?
Like, I think of myself as an American.
There you go. Well, I guess, I probably can label myself as an independent. But what you are is exactly that. You know, I guess I would lean more Republican just from if I had to choose a party, I guess, so to speak.
That's me.
Yeah, I would go that way.
That's I would be the same way.
Yeah,
if I had to.
But on the other side of it, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If there's a Democratic fucking dude that's up there going, hey, I like what he's saying, then I don't got a problem voting for that. I can be an independent in the sense, but I saw something on in this whole elections thing that was just recently going, that they were saying that independents, because hardcore Republicans are always going to vote hardcore Republican. It doesn't matter whether they care or know about the person. They're just going to fill out their ballot Republican. And Democrats are going to do the same thing. It's the independent people actually that when they do get up and go and vote and they do it, they are actually the ones that kind of make that decision and help make that decision of like, fuck, I want this side over here. So just keep that in mind. When a presidency or something like that comes along, I know that my vote for the president or the electoral vote for the president ain't going to help here in California. It's going to be fucking blue. I know. But on the other side of it, it's like exactly what I said, you know, it's the independents that are going to go and fucking sway that, you know? So it is what it is. I don't want to go crazy into politics. It sucks that it's our world, but you know, we're fucking in this shit, man. We're deep in this shit. So, well, fellas, we're a couple hours into this thing already. It goes by quick, huh? Yeah, it goes by. It can go by really damn fast. And we'll wrap it up before this one over here hits the last hour mark of it, because that one will shut off here in probably another 10 minutes or so as well.
It's coming up.
So so it'll come up on another hour. Anything that we want to make sure that we touch on, like you know, how do people get a hold of you? Like, what's the best way to reach you?
If anyone's interested, I mean, Instagram is a good way. Just message me.
Are you taking on full builds right now?
No, I'm not taking on right now. I have enough stuff to last me. I have some people lined up right now that they know that they're in line. So as I get some of the jobs that are in the garage now out, there's already those spots are spoken for.
Gotcha.
You know, and it's
already on calendar.
Honestly, I'm definitely booked until I would say at least the end of January.
Good for you.
I mean, but little stuff, You know, if somebody has an oil change, I'll do that any day.
Yeah.
An oil change, brake pads. I don't do tires anymore. I got rid of the machines. They're gone.
Right.
So either go to MC Tire Works, Jim at my garage, you know, the dealership if you can get in there.
Yeah.
But I don't touch tires. But little stupid things, or if somebody has like a question with like something going on or whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
mostly just simple service stuff because that's an in and out thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I want to reiterate, although simple service to you
Mhm.
stuff, to other people, an oil change is like foreign. They don't know what it is that they're doing. So,
Yeah.
you know, when you call around, keep Anthony in mind. And I say that just because you may call Harley because that's the only place that you know to go and call, or you
Yeah.
may call somebody else because whatever the reason is, but they may not be able to get your shit in there for 2 weeks or something. This is what you're saying. If I can turn that shit around pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody comes in for a service, I mean, I know the dealership is doing, and some other shops are doing things a little different. You know, I basically, somebody comes in, I'm doing all 3 holes on there, you know, so you're getting your motor, your trans, and your primary done, and either a new filter. If you have a flow filter, clean that filter out. Obviously I always check tire pressure. I give the bike kind of a once over, look at some stuff. If anything pops out, I'll tell you about it. I'll test ride the bike up and down the street. Things feel great, fine. But that's about as far as I go with you know, an air filter. You know, if somebody's got a dirty filter or K&N that needs to be cleaned or something, very basic. So I don't get into anything that, you know, I know the dealer has like a laundry list of stupid shit that they fucking do, but it's like none of it to me. I mean, I understand if I had to go work, some shops are different.
Yeah.
And they want to do all that stuff. And that's fine. That's something that I would have to adapt to.
Right.
Let's say, you know, when I go to Arizona, there's a couple, well, there's one shop I am talking to out there. And then there's another shop.
Who can you say?
It's called Bloody Knuckles Motorcycles in Mesa. A guy named Sean owns it. I've only talked to him a couple times. Well, once on the phone and then just mostly through Instagram.
Right on.
Seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
He has a dude that works for him also that does the dyno tuning there that I've kind of gone back and forth with.
All Harley stuff, or is there chopper stuff?
They do a lot of Harley, but it looks like they do, you know, like dirt bikes and
okay.
I think pretty much other brands too.
In Arizona, you kind of have to because that's a big thing. You know,
Yeah.
You got the UTVs and the dirt bikes and the quads.
That's,
so yeah,
you know,
it's a huge thing out there.
It's huge out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, back to that whole, if I go work for his shop, you know, that's one thing that I know going in, which some people don't know that, you know, and that's one thing, like I said, I got lucky with Cody. So when you go to work for somebody, you can't act like, you can't do things the way you would normally do things. You have to make sure you're doing it the way they do it. And that's one thing that I've learned a long time ago. So I'm always kind of intimidated working for someone else just because trying to get in the flow with how they do things. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know how they would do things. I mean, that's just how I do my services.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's usually in and out quick.
But does the audience out there now know that you used to be an ex-service writer for Harley Davidson? So you know
I don't
what
like to say that.
No, but you know what you're looking for.
I mean, honestly, like I like the dealers that I deal with now. Mostly it's Santa Clarita Harley. They've been cool to me. I do go up to Antelope Valley, Lancaster every now and then for Leo up there. But you know, working,
it's a different. Let me interject. I know
what I'm going to say.
No, I don't, you're unpredictable, so I'm not even going to try fucking, you know, say that. But I know that I can feel what you're saying, because I can understand that working for Harley is corporate. Yeah. It's a different gig. Yeah, it's a different environment. You have to be a certain way. So
and that's not me.
Yeah. And yeah, great. What do you say? Great, shitty customer. What is
quality work, shitty customer service.
Quality service.
And the funny thing is, is that quote came. Did you ever go to See Me Harley ever?
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Bruno, the sales manager? Real tall guy.
Once or twice, yes.
So he's who came up with that slogan when I worked there, because everybody kind of knew how I was, you know. And you know, I was doing bikes, you know, still out of the garage, you know. I didn't do it as much when I worked there, but you know, people knew how I was with, you know, you've known me for a little while, not very long, but I've never treated you negative or anything.
No.
And mostly that's how I am with everybody. But as soon as you fucking disrespect me, I'm a whole different Anthony.
Yeah.
So, and I've been that way Ask him.
How long?
time.
Since I came out of my mom.
Yeah.
Like, I've had a hard time, and I've had to train myself with my anger and aggression and all that stuff all these years. I'm not saying I'm nowhere near the person I was then, nowhere near that.
Yeah.
But if you badmouth me or you talk shit or you treat me negative, and I got a lot of that when I worked for See Me Harley. I'd have these guys come in and they thought they were so self-important because they came up on their fucking stupid motorcycle. And because they have a Harley, they think that there's some tough guy, and it's like,
yeah.
And I'm not the kind of person that's going to try to sell myself to somebody and say, well, do you know who I am? Do you know what I know how to do? I don't give a fuck. And I don't need to prove myself to that person.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I went out to Arizona back in July, and I went to a couple of the Harley dealers, and I had made up with my girlfriend a resume, and I took them around, and I kind of got turned down. It wasn't the experience I thought I would have. Like, I thought somebody would want to take some time and talk to me. And then it's like, I wasn't going to sit there and tell them what I do or who I am or where I come from. It's like, if they're either interested or they're not.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not going to sit there and tell somebody at the dealership, try to sell myself to them. It's either, like, if you're going to come and be disrespectful to me right off the bat, then you're going to get a different Anthony.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why I think I know where you're like, the Harley thing is the corporate thing. Yeah. It's a different animal. It's a different beast.
Dude, I tried to quit twice.
You walk into a shop, like, okay, if you walked into your shop when you had it over there, different vibe, right?
Oh, people people get the fuck out.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. And but it's a different vibe. It's a different feeling when you walk into a place like that, where it's like, this is a shop, this is a garage, this is a I don't want to like fucking make it seem all masculine, but this is a man shop. This is how it is. Yeah. You go into Harley and it's fucking like, yes, sir. What do you need? What can we do? We'll wash your bike. We'll fucking clean your shoes. You want us to hang your jacket up? Like, fuck, it's.
And don't get me wrong. Like, I do treat the customers I have.
Customers are always right. I mean, you have to treat them that way. But I agree with you. If you get disrespected
in an independent shop, to an extent, at Harley. I understand when you work at Harley and you're in the dealership, it's a whole different ball game. Yep. And I used to stress because I didn't know what I could say or do. And when I talked to the owner, when I talked to Paul about my problems with people, he was like, well, nothing's ever got back to me. So as far as I'm concerned, the floor is yours. He's like, and then, other people will back you if you need the help, but it could go really bad with me.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't want to go there with anybody, and I literally, I couldn't take it. And I tried to quit once. He offered me more money and a different position. I never got put in that position. So I was stuck as a service writer. Not that I didn't like it. I liked it. I loved everyone I worked with and stuff, but I literally, right before the pandemic, I left. I said, I'm done. I quit. I can't do it anymore. And I went back to doing my own thing. But, and then, the shop got started, and, I was the same way at the shop. I treated everybody with respect. A lot of my customers will vouch for that. Like, I have a great relationship with pretty much everyone I do work for, but there are a group of people that I have worked for that I don't really give a flying fuck what these people think of me. They can kiss my fucking ass.
The older we get, the less fucks we give, right?
I don't care. I'm the kind of person that if you have a fucking problem with me, come tell me, come talk to me about it. Like, what did I do? Like, let's figure this out, because I don't want anyone mad at me.
You're speaking my language, homeboy.
So
speaking my language right now. No, that's and it's funny. It's not funny.
It's funny.
It's funny. It's funny because you say exactly that to a scenario that just happened to me a few days ago on Sunday. Is exactly that. Like, I want to talk. I don't want to fight.
No,
but I will. But I don't want to. But I can. But I want to talk to you. I want to squab. I want to square it out. So you're speaking my language in that shit, man. Like, I'd rather have a conversation, and I think that's a lot of why I enjoy doing this is because I like having the conversation. I like hearing people shit,
Dude, Cody worked with me for a good year, man. And we only knew each other from the dealer. He was sales there. I was service writer. And I hired him on, because he was going to go to MMI, and I talked him out of it. And, him and I worked together great. I never treated that guy, never disrespected that guy in any negative way. And, I just don't understand why people are that way with people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
why people have, you know, that's why it's so hard for me to go work for certain people. And it's not that I can't work for people. It's just, you have to work well together. You know what I mean? Like, and there's been very few people that I've been able, not to sound bad or anything, but like, I mean, Fred and I got along great.
Yeah.
But Fred's a fucking difficult fucking guy. Like, and he's kind of weird sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
He's set in his ways.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it is what it is. But I never got into like fights or arguments with
You
my
guys got
people.
along. You guys
Yeah,
got
I mean,
along.
not to sound, you know, if anyone out there is listening in Arizona, that's not where I'm going with this. It just, you know, like I'm an easygoing guy. I'm not like somebody that wants to start shit or fight. I don't get pissed off about everything. Like,
Yeah.
I just, you know, dealing with the public and people that are out for nothing, you know, wanting to spend nothing on shit. Like,
I think, you know what it is, what contributes to that. I'm 40 and I've learned, like hearing you, it sounds like you've learned and you've curbed some of the maybe aggression or the anger, whatever it is, right? And same thing with me. I have a tendency, I know my faults, I know where they lie, and I take ownership for faults of mine. And one of mine is, and I can fucking thank my old man for it, is outspoken. You know, when I got something that's like on my mind, I have a hard time like not vomiting at the mouth and saying it. And it's got me in trouble. Believe me, I've learned lessons. I've fucking had hard lessons that I've had to learn.
We all have,
yeah, you know, but I've learned from it. The older I'm getting, I'll bite my, it's not that I think everybody needs to hear my opinion. It's not because you need to hear what I say because it's king shit or anything. It's just more of like, I don't know. I just feel like, let's talk about it. I don't, you know, whatever it is, I'll say it. And sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good, but I got a problem with that. I'm curbing it. I'm checking it back a little bit.
That's one thing I can honestly come out and say about myself that I know some people can't wrap their head around is I'm very opinionated.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's exactly what I am,
and not to the point where I'm trying to be controlling. In my opinion, it's again from experience with certain things. Again, like he said, like I try to steer people away from certain things because it's like
your experience tells you otherwise.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's like, yeah, I get like that's your bike. I'm not trying to tell you how to build your bike, like, but there's better ways to do it. There's nicer things. It's just more efficient when you're like putting something together like
that is. And so you and I are kind of on that same wavelength, dude, where it's like, I'm opinionated, where I'm telling you because I feel like my experiences and the stuff that I've gone through, you're going to take some value from it.
Yeah.
Now, when I say it now, I'm not telling you because that's what you got to do. I'm telling you because I want you to have that information of the experience that I've had with it.
We want somebody to be ultimately happy too with their outcome.
But ultimately what I'm going to do and give you my opinion with, I just want you to take my opinion and digest it and do whatever the fuck you want with it. It's just an opinion. I want to hear your opinion and I might take it and go, you're fucking a retard. I'm not listening to that shit. And there's some things that I've heard where I go, maybe I need to try and incorporate whatever it may be, you know? So when I give my opinion, sometimes it is in a negative connotation. I know when I cast a stone, I know when I'm doing that, I'm guilty of doing that myself. But for the most part, when I'm giving an opinion, I'm trying to just add value in some way. And maybe that message doesn't always come across the same fucking way.
A perfect example
or the right way
with a bike and you're trying to help somebody or whatever.
Cam?
No. Well, there's that too, but that's a whole different thing. But when somebody has a new bike and they're trying to pick parts and stuff, it's like I look at a bike as a whole. If I'm choosing parts for things and how everything has to kind of flow together, like that seat won't look right with whatever. Like,
well, kind of what we followed with the FXR.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have like kind of a theme. Your eyes, like, the problem is they make so much shit for these bikes. And people will just start buying things. Oh, that looks cool. That looks cool. And then they have all this shit.
You don't want to do the Pep Boys effect. You don't want to go aisle down. You don't want to go down aisle 3 of Pep Boys.
Because you'll just ruin your bike. But they might be happy with it. But it's like, then it looks like a Pee Wee Herman bike.
You're absolutely
with
right.
the bell and everything, and the streamers.
Keep buying parts, and before you know it, they have this whole table full of parts.
Yep.
and all this money wasted.
Yeah.
So we're telling you,
Yeah.
It's just trying to guide somebody through the
Yeah,
process. Like,
Yep.
so all, because what happens, and he knows this, hands fucking down, he knows this, is when he first got the FXR or the electric glide, or it could be a car, and he went through with the FXR, put first set of bars on it, didn't like it, took it back to the shop, they put another pair of bars, didn't like those. Like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
You have to choose wisely when you're choosing shit, and that's where I'm trying to guide people and help them.
and give them the value, like you said, the value.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
Because people don't know. They don't know. They see something they like, but there's more to a lot of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I can, not that my advice is anything, but if I can offer advice, for you, what I've learned in my years of shit, because I've done customer service jobs for a long. I delivered water, I did direct TV, I work for customer service shit is what, and really what it boils down to most of the time is delivery. Like it's how you deliver that message. Like if you're there's some people that I see, I hear their message and I go, that's a good message, but you delivered that totally shitty, and like it's not going to come across the way that I know you want it to come across. It's going to come across like it's not going to come across the way you want it to be. So delivery is extremely important.
I think for the most part, when I talk to people, I do all right with that scenario, but I know what you're talking about. There's a lot of people out there that are just like, when it comes to talking to people, that just, it's not,
they don't know how to. And that changes the entire dynamic of shit, because you can take, if I give you my opinion aggressively, then you think that I'm fucking like coming down on you.
And that's another thing. It's part of everything I got to do every day. I have to sit there and talk to people. I have to do the parts ordering. If I have to input something in my computer to keep track of what I've done, like there's working on the bikes, chasing parts. Like there's a lot that goes to, being self-employed and running your own thing.
List goes on.
It's a hustle. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I mean,
so when people are giving, listen, if Anthony, myself are giving you guys an opinion or an advice, most of the time you'll know from my tone of voice. At least I can speak from my sense.
It's gonna sound like this.
That's right. You're gonna know from my tone of voice if it's aggressive.
You better do that.
That's right. It just comes from experience. It comes from history and background and knowledge and talking to other people and being in the industry or around it, whatever it may be. Not just with motorcycles, life experiences in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So just, opinionated people like myself doesn't mean that it's always like an aggressive or like challenging everything that you fucking say. It's just, hey, let me offer this up for you. You digest it however you want. I'm not telling you that it's gold or it's not gospel and shit, Yeah. So, but right on, man. Let's fucking wrap this one up, homeboys. I know Dad's looking. He's like, damn.
No,
yeah. Are you in town for a while or?
Yeah, I'm in town till Wednesday of next week.
Right on. Yeah. Well, welcome. Enjoy. You get to come down often?
I haven't been here in a while.
Okay.
Since I moved to Vegas.
How long ago was that?
What about
it? You came out a couple times, you said.
Okay.
But well, I mean, I came out, but we didn't connect because you weren't around.
Yeah.
You were in Arizona. But been about a year and a half or so.
Oh, okay. All right.
Since we've hooked up.
Yeah. Well, it's always good to see family and shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I lost my old man in 2019, so hug your old man every now and then and call him, tell him you miss him and all that bullshit,
Oh, yeah.
Don't be such a hard ass, fellas. Don't be such a hard ass,
Exactly.
Yeah, the older you get, the softer heart you usually get.
Tell them that you love them.
That's all. Yeah, it's totally okay to do that. Trust me.
Totally
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally okay. So, guys, if you need to get a hold of Anthony, what is the Instagram? Stunned him.
It's Apontes, so it's APONTES _Vtwin _service.
Okay. And I tag him, and we're homies and shit, so I like to support homies. So whenever I can, I'm gonna plug the page, follow it, because one, you'll see some really cool work that's happening. But one of the things I personally just enjoy about it is the little tips and the videos and stuff that you do. It's if you want to kind of just have an understanding or learn whatever it may be, Anthony's page is a good source of just like some stuff that you won't always normally get to see, and it's always there, like your bottom end that you had completely taken apart. You don't just get to see that all the time.
And
So
that's another thing is if anyone out there is interested in this Road Glide, it will be for sale. I'm trying to hustle as fast as I can on it, but I made a little hashtag. It's
that's right. Yes.
Hashtag 2005 Road Glide Project.
Yes, and I'm following it.
And
Yeah.
you know, if anyone's interested, let me know. But as soon as it's up and going, I need to get rid of it because unfortunately that's going to be our ticket out of here.
Well then,
So
I was gonna say, well, tag me so I can help you. But if that's your ticket out of here, maybe I want to be selfish. No, I'm just kidding.
so again, I mean, I gotta, you know, I'm going to be selling it at, I think, a very reasonable price, because I need to move it quickly.
Yeah.
But you'll be getting a lot for that
a
price.
solid foundation,
Yeah.
a good build is what you're going to be walking away with. It's not going to be probably everything done to it, but it's going to be the perfect base foundation.
I mean, you'll be able to get on this bike, and if you're into burnouts and wheelies, that will be the bike to be doing it with. It'll have a chain drive, you know, a solid bottom end.
It's got that nice pewter color too.
Yeah,
I like that color.
Smoky gold.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's got that pinstripe or that stripe that goes through it too,
the
right?
Scallop.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just to let everybody know if they're interested, is they're on the tank. It has one small little ding on the top of the tank. It's like that when I got it.
It's called character.
I mean, it's not, you know, the paint is not
like
the greatest. It's okay. And then I'm going to be putting like a Clockworks front fender on it. So I might have somebody wrap it in like carbon fiber just to make it look good. Cause I don't want to get into paint work. I mean, I got to get the bike together running and sold. So, but it'll be a bitchin' looking bike though for the money.
Follow the hashtag 2005 Road Glide Project.
Yeah.
And you'll be able, you're hashtagging everything that you post on it. When you pull it up, you'll see some cool shit on it already. You'll see the engine out, the bottom end being put together.
Yeah. I'll take pictures of everything. So I'll have
the whole history of it.
Yeah. You'll see the entire build.
Yeah. So I'll help spread the word. Make sure that you tag me, please, in anything that I can do to help spread the word. If you guys need some work, man, I know, you got long-term work ain't the place probably for Anthony, for you, but you need a cam job. You need some oil changes. You need some of that, that routine maintenance, quick little brake job, something like that. You need some routine maintenance stuff and you want to get in and out. Local, Simi Valley, that's where you're located, right?
Yeah.
Simi Valley.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a fluid change, brake pads, if a cam job, or if you want to upgrade, like an M8 motor, your clutch basket and comp ramp, all that stuff, like, a cam job, you drop it off. As long as we have all the parts, everything's there.
Yeah.
You drop it off one day, it'll be ready the next day. If it's a cam job and a primary, probably looking about a day and a half.
Yeah, but exhaust, shit like that. Yeah, bolt on, new grips.
Yeah, air
whatever you
cleaner,
need. Yeah,
like
all that. To us, that's bolt on stuff. To some people, it's foreign, and they don't even they don't even want to mess with it. So
and
bring it to Anthony.
And I can get, like I have a drag specialties account and hard drive, so it's like I can get stuff as well. Or as long as you get the right parts, you're more than welcome to bring your shit to me if you want, or if you're getting it somewhere else.
Just make sure it's the right shit.
I hate that. I fucking hate that. I have all these parts. This is for not your ear.
It's not even for your bike.
Yeah. This says Yamaha.
That's the way it goes. I'm guilty of that. I'm a little bit of a tight ass every now and then. I'll take my engine halfway apart to my engine builder. I'm like, how much did I save? $5. I say $5, man. It is what it is. So,
you got a lot of stuff missing here.
That's it. Yeah. So, well, Anthony, I appreciate you cruising down, man. Dad, thank you for coming and hanging out.
Thank you for having me.
Nice dynamic to have a father-son combo sit down with me. Anything else, though? Good. Shout outs, love. You gonna give anybody some
phone number?
I know my son Aiden's still watching. Hi. I don't know if he's awake still.
Hi, Aiden.
I know
he can listen to it later.
My girlfriend and her kids, Caleb and Nathan, are watching. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know who's watching still. So.
Whether they're watching or not, they can listen to the podcast later on. All right. So, well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys coming to hang out. Anthony, you're welcome to my garage anytime you want to come hang out, man. There's, I don't have all the fancy tools and everything that you got. I'm gonna be coming to you when I need that specialty shit, man. So you guys have a good night. Appreciate you guys. Get home safe. All right, guys. Later.
Thank you.
All right. Let's end this over here. Later, guys. Peace.